Chapter 347. The rest of the battles ended easily. Those who faced Jiang Chongkong admitted defeat immediately. If it was impossible to win, then what was the point of fighting? It was better to just admit defeat. Jiang Chongkong comprehended the power of the sacred sun. The sword-hugging youth waved at the void. A ray of sword light woke Jiang Chongkong up. "What's the matter?" Jiang Chongkong asked. The youth looked at him for a moment, then turned and left. "Follow me." Jiang Chongkong was curious and followed. "Chongkong, this person's background is mysterious. Be careful," Lord Lei reminded. Jiang Chongkong nodded. Since Lord Lei said so, it was obvious that the Federation could not find out his background. Thinking of Liangqiu Xuani and Sha Hongtao's words, he became even more curious. What was the relationship between this person and that genius, and where did he come from? The two went deep into the mountains, far away from the wasteland reclamation battle. The youth stopped on a tree and said calmly, "My name is Feng Qixing." "You called me here to tell me your name?" Jiang Chongkong asked doubtfully. "Yes," Feng Qixing nodded and said, "I'm also curious about how you cultivated your astral bodies." Jiang Chongkong said indifferently, "If you want to pry into other people's secrets, should you tell me your own first?" "What do you want to know about me?" Feng Qixing asked calmly. "Where are you from?" Back then, a swordsman appeared in the Void Realm, but it was short-lived and there was no trace of him after that. Jiang Chongkong said indifferently, "He's the same as you, we can't find out anything about him. The Void Realm is vast and boundless, and the things hidden in its depths are not something even deities can find out." A faint smile appeared on Feng Qixing's face. "Just like Liangqiu Xuani, she wants to bring you to a place." "Huh? You know that too?" Jiang Chongkong's expression changed slightly. "I heard your conversation that day. It's just a little secret technique. It's normal that you didn't discover it." Feng Qixing leaned against the tree and said, "How do I say this about my origins? I can't tell you where I came from for the time being, but I can tell you my intentions." Jiang Chongkong frowned slightly. "You're not here for me, are you?" "They are indeed here for you. To be precise, they are here for your celestial bodies." Sword light flashed in Feng Qixing's eyes. In the ancient interstellar era, there were once 2 great celestial bodies, or even 3 great celestial bodies. It seems that you know more than the Federation. If that's the case, why are you still here? Jiang Chongkong frowned. Back in the interstellar era, the cultivation civilization had almost reached its peak. Immortals, gods, and mortals coexisted in the world. Feng Qixing stood up and walked slowly, but for some reason there was a huge change. Only true gods remained in the starry sky, and the immortal gods disappeared. Over the endless years, even those who were close to the gods could not withstand the passage of time and died of old age. They were just like us now, frantically searching for clues to the immortals and gods. Until they found the 3 great celestial palaces and started the war that ended the interstellar era. In that war, true gods fell and the starry sky trembled. The 3 great celestial palaces were shattered and fell to various parts of the universe. Jiang Chongkong nodded. Hua Tianrui had shown him the scene of the war in the starry sky. The Flower Sea Kingdom was destroyed in that war, and Hua Tianrui had also fallen in that war. "What does this have to do with my celestial bodies?" Jiang Chongkong asked, puzzled. "I don't know what it has to do with me. If I knew, I wouldn't have talked so much with you." Feng Qixing sighed softly and said, "According to the records, the reason for the war was for the ultimate battle physique formed by the fusion of the 3 great celestial bodies. You, who have been to the Battle Palace, should know about the legendary ultimate battle physique. But I don't know Tai Chi Yin Yang. My friend Jiang Chongyue does. If there's a chance, I'll introduce her to you," Jiang Chongkong said calmly. "But you know Tai Chi Yin Yang. In the eyes of some people, this is enough to make up for the deficiency of the power of the moon." Feng Qixing's expression turned serious. Furthermore, based on what you did today, you can completely cultivate the power of the moon. It's too tiring. Furthermore, I have too much power in my body. If I have more, I won't be able to hold on, Jiang Changkong said calmly. Feng Qixing's eyes flickered. Are you and Jiang Changyue really not the same person? You can go and check. Changyue and I have fought together before, Jiang Changkong said calmly. Alright, you've said so much, but I feel like you're just testing me. Feng Qixing shrugged with a hint of helplessness. I really can't tell you about my origins. Then how I cultivated the celestial bodies is also not something I can tell you. Jiang Changkong's expression turned slightly cold. Feng Qixing narrowed his eyes and emitted a dangerous aura. A formless sword intent filled the surroundings, causing people to feel a stabbing pain all over their bodies. You want to fight? Then you better think carefully. Jiang Changkong put his hands behind his back and looked at him indifferently. Feng Qixing laughed lightly and the formless sword intent dissipated. He shook his head and said, I know in my heart that I'm not your opponent. The final battle forbids killing. That's when I should act. You're very wise, Jiang Changkong said calmly. Feng Qixing's strength was indeed not bad, but there was still a gap between him and the three celestial bodies. Oh right, I have a secret manual here. How about exchanging secrets with you? An ancient book appeared in Feng Qixing's hand. It was written in star language. It will be of great help to you. Cloud Sky Secret Manual? Jiang Changkong looked at the ancient book and frowned. This is the White Cloud martial art? An incomplete near-god martial art. Back then, there was a near-god martial art. This is only the late-stage star path, but the star formation and comprehension are very complete. Feng Qixing passed the ancient book over. How about this? Do you know how you cultivated the celestial bodies? All right. Jiang Changkong took the book and said with a smile, Actually, you will be able to cultivate these celestial bodies as you cultivate. Feng Qixing. He managed to master it after practicing for so long? What kind of exchange is this? Actually, it's not difficult. I just need to use Taiji to balance the two celestial bodies. Jiang Changkong saw his ugly expression and said, Previously, the information I received was to use force to balance the sun and moon. I can't do that, so I can only use Taiji to balance them. Feng Qixing's expression softened slightly. So, the secret is in your Taiji martial art? You can understand it that way. Jiang Changkong turned and left. Think about it yourself. I'll take my leave first. Feng Qixing thought for a while and got up to return to the battlefield. The problem had been solved. As for Jiang Changkong's Taiji martial art, he felt that he should live for a few more years. If he had any ideas, he would be killed by others. This is not something I need to worry about. Let them worry about it. Right now, Jiang Changkong is a treasure in their eyes. Feng Qixing smiled and stopped thinking about it. Now, all the forces had their eyes on Jiang Changkong. Even the Federation was paying attention to him. Facing the entire Federation, no one could be unafraid. If they were forced into a corner and provoked a near-god, it would be a big problem. Feng Qixing was sure that if too many strong cultivators were involved, the Federation would definitely invite a near-god or even a few to wipe out everything. My life is tiring, and I still have to test how strong Jiang Changkong's combat power is. Isn't this making things difficult for me? With my strength, how can I be a match for him? Feng Qixing muttered in a low voice, venting his dissatisfaction. Chapter 348. Jiang Changkong was overjoyed as he comprehended the Cloud Sky Secret Manual. His White Cloud 9-tier sutra could finally catch up. Compared to the information given by Liangqiu Xuani, the Cloud Sky Secret Manual was much better. Many star formations were recorded on it, ranging from star embryo to star Dao. There were celestial star formations, white cloud-killing formations, and many other forms of clouds. There were dozens of celestial star formations, and their strength was similar. Of course, they were of different grades. In total, there were only 5 mid-grade 9th-tier martial emperors. Based on his previous experience, he could continue to carve them with his body. If he didn't use them, they wouldn't be exposed and there wouldn't be any conflicts. When he used them, he could balance them with Tai Chi. Some of the killing moves in the Cloud Sky Secret Manual and the use of White Cloud Star Power could improve his White Cloud 9-tier sutra. I'll comprehend it first and enter seclusion after the reclamation, Jiang Chongkong muttered to himself. After the reclamation, it would take some time to develop the land. He could take the opportunity to enter seclusion and comprehend what he had learned. At that time, he would be invincible under the peak grade. As time passed, the final battle of the leaders finally arrived. Tian Heng has admitted defeat in the leader battle. Before the battle even started, Tian Heng's team gave up. They had already fought with Jiang Chongkong and verified what they should. They had basically used all the methods they had. If they faced Jiang Chongkong again, they would lose. Astral Brilliance's team, I will fight with Jiang Chongkong. Forget about the team battle. Feng Qixing stood out and stepped onto the stage. Jiang Chongkong, do you have any objections? Lord Lei asked. This is obviously beneficial to me. I can't ask for more. Jiang Chongkong descended from the sky and landed on the stage. His teammates were all idle fishes. They were only responsible for posting on their social media. Both parties entered the stage. Feng Qixing wasn't in a hurry to attack. Instead, he slowly drew his sword. Can you give me some time? Sure. Jiang Chongkong had his hands behind his back. He had already activated his 3 astral bodies. Although he was confident against Feng Qixing, he didn't dare to be conceited. Feng Qixing was mysterious and powerful. He definitely had shocking methods. Along with the appearance of the longsword, a bone-piercing sword will fill the entire arena. A wisp of azure light, which was faint at first, gradually became dazzling and piercing. Finally, it looked like a real star. The boundless green light did not dissipate. Instead, it slowly shrank. Feng Qixing stood there with a green longsword in his hand. A formless sword intent spread out. In Jiang Chongkong's eyes, there was only one sword, the wind sword that reached the heavens. He felt like he was in a green space, and there were only green swords in this space. Compared to the star-severing sword he had encountered before, this was much more powerful. Moreover, as time passed, Feng Qixing's aura became stronger and stronger, and his sword intent became thicker and thicker. Buzz. The entire arena was shaking, and the top barrier was rippling. What a powerful force. Outside, the onlookers were shocked. This aura is actually still getting stronger. Where did this person come from? Tian Heng's expression was solemn. Even you don't know? Lord Lei said in surprise. Lord Lei doesn't know either? Tian Heng smiled. Although our Budokai is strong, we are only a part of the Federation. Lord Lei didn't say anything. Tian Heng was right. No matter how strong Budokai was, they couldn't be stronger than the Federation. Time passed bit by bit and Feng Qixing's strength continued to increase. Half an hour later, his aura finally stopped and Feng Qixing reached his limit. Lord Jiang, pay attention. Feng Qixing said solemnly. Come. Jiang Chongkong only said one word, and a huge taiji rose up. Star-severing sword formation. Feng Qixing hollered. His sword landed, and a sword that could slash apart stars was finally stabbed out. Taiji returned to 1. Jiang Chongkong raised his right palm. Power pattern star body, God controlling technique, and Taiji yin-yang technique were gathered. He pushed out with his palm and faced the wind sword head-on. Hong Long. The sword and palm energy clashed and exploded. A violent energy wave swept out. A green light actually broke through the palm energy and slashed onto Jiang Chongkong's body. Poochie. Green blood splattered and Feng Qixing flew backward. He smashed into the barrier and fell heavily. Ding-dang. The green light landed, breaking his skin and slashing onto his bones. Drops of golden blood dripped down. Jiang Chongkong had a weird expression on his face. Not bad, you actually managed to break through my skin. Lord Lei, Tianheng, although he knew that Feng Qi Xing couldn't win, he gathered strength for half an hour and only broke a bit of his skin? I have embarrassed myself in front of Lord Jiang. Feng Qi Xing's expression was dispirited, and he climbed up weakly. His strongest sword was still unable to test Jiang Chongkong's limit. You can be considered stunning. This move isn't inferior to the incomplete god-killing formation. Jiang Chongkong sighed in admiration. If he could train each of his elements to such a level, wouldn't he be able to kill gods and Buddhas? Feng Qi Xing shook his head. Lord Jiang is overestimating me. I have been preparing for this move for a few days and have been accumulating strength. I have to thank Lord Jiang for giving me this half an hour to finish accumulating. Everyone was enlightened. So he had been accumulating for far more than half an hour. Jiang Chongkong didn't say anything and left. A sword move that allowed Feng Qi Xing to accumulate for a few days was definitely a top-killing move. Unfortunately, such a killing move required insufficient strength and could only be slowly accumulated. Once it was used, the burden was huge. It could only be used in competitions. In a true life and death battle, no one would give him time to accumulate. Jiang Chongkong was confident that he could kill him hundreds of times while he was accumulating strength. Good, the Wasteland Reclamation battle has ended. First, Jiang Chongkong, second, Star Family Team, third, Sea Family Team. Lord Lei announced the result. The Sea family member rushed towards Jiang Chongkong and said, "Thank you Lord Jiang for crippling Star Family. You are too polite." Jiang Chongkong cupped his fist. The Astral Brilliance team could have been in second place. However, Jiang Chongkong had crippled this team. Then, they were overtaken by the Ma family, and they picked up a big bargain. Jiang Chongkong also got his wish, and obtained the Wasteland. Congratulations, Lord Jiang, for being the first in the Wasteland Reclamation. Yi Qiushui and the others said excitedly, you seized 14 pieces of Wasteland. As for the last 30 pieces, each family would get 1 piece. Jiang Chongkong would get another piece. The first place would get 5 pieces, the leader would get 6 pieces, and the previous 2 would get 2 pieces. There were a total of 14 pieces. Feng Qi Xing left without hesitation. Jiang Chongkong was also dragged away by a group of people to celebrate. The Sea clan was in charge of their meals. On the other hand, Yi Qiushui and the others were informing their families and preparing to receive the benefit. 14 pieces of barren land, 10% of the benefits would be quite a lot for them. Jiang Chongkong also gained a bunch of workers, filling up the territory's population. Lord Lei didn't leave either. He joined Jiang Chongkong to celebrate with him. Hua Qinglan also said that she would spare some time to come over. Jiang Chongkong did not mind. After all, the Sea family was in charge of their meals, and they did not eat from him. What surprised Jiang Chongkong was that Hua Qinglan also brought him good news. It was the Federation's tax exemption. Of course, it was not the current tax exemption. After the Wasteland was developed, the income would be tax-free and would not need to be handed over to the Federation. Other than these, there were other conveniences. They could buy things from the Federation at a discounted price, including equipment. Chapter 349. They ate and chatted for the whole night and signed some contracts. In the future, if Jiang Chongkong needed equipment and resources, he could order them from the Federation at a 30% discount and have them delivered to his door. Apart from that, he also had the right to hire the Federation's army to guard his territory. Of course, Jiang Chongkong also had to pay for the army, which could be considered as helping the Federation raise the army. This was already a great benefit. As long as he could afford it, he could hire a peak starry body cultivator. Moreover, the Federation had an army of the same attribute. There were tens of thousands of martial artists, even tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of them. Jiang Chongkong didn't have the courage to face such an army. If he had such an army, he would be able to defeat all the starry body cultivators. After that, some information about the starry body was released to him. They were all information obtained from the starry body and recorded many secret. After the meal, everyone went to rest. The next morning, the reclamation teams returned to their areas. Jiang Chongkong also returned to his territory with his men. The Federation would handle the development of the wastelands. There were no surprises or dangers along the way, and they returned safely. Everyone, I'll leave the rest to you. Jiang Chongkong looked at Yi Qiushui and the others. Yi Qiushui and the others quickly said, Lord Jiang, don't worry. We'll get it done. Okay, we can't lose the star crystals. If there's a problem you can't solve, contact me immediately. Jiang Chongkong gave some instructions and informed Su Hengji to cooperate with Yi Qiushui and the others. He also wanted to send people to take a look at the 14 wastelands he had obtained. With the Federation handling it, there wouldn't be any accidents, but he had to understand his own wastelands. Su Hengji, Old Liang, and the others immediately sent people. The population of the territory was increasing. Recently, because of the War of Reclamation, some second-rate forces had taken the initiative to come to seek shelter. Jiang Chongkong didn't reject anyone. He would take as many people as he could get. He didn't need the 7th-grade star crystals anymore. It didn't matter how many star embryos there were. As for the starry body cultivators, their salaries were the same as in other places. When he didn't need the 8th-grade star crystals anymore, he would raise their salaries. Star warrior? Sorry, Jiang Chongkong couldn't afford it. No matter how bad the astral warriors were, they could still live comfortably in the void realm. Unless there was an urgent need, Jiang Chongkong did not plan to recruit them for the time being. He could consider it when he no longer needed Tier 9 star crystals or when he needed to go on an expedition. Jiang Chongkong also handed the information on the Immortal Palace given by Liang Qiushuani to Professor Yun. After settling everything, Jiang Chongkong went into seclusion. During this seclusion, he planned to inscribe more moon inscriptions, power inscriptions, and white cloud star array. As for the sun star array, he decided not to draw it for now. Given his special situation, there would be no conflict and he could automatically hide the star array. However, since it was not the battle body star array of the Sun Immortal Palace, he could not guarantee that he could still use the 3 star bodies without activating the Tai Chi Yin-Yang star body. He wanted to collect all of the 3 great palaces' battle body star arrays and engrave them all on his body. Even if he couldn't integrate them, he could use the Tai Chi Yin-Yang art to activate the 4 major star bodies. As the white cloud star array was engraved, Jiang Chongkong gained another instinct, the instinct to integrate with the white cloud. The star power in his body also increased a little. That made him more and more certain that there was no problem with his path. After the white cloud star array was engraved, he continued with the force pattern and moon star array. The 2 star arrays continued to increase, and Jiang Chongkong's strength and star power increased a little, less than 5%. After that, no matter how he increased the star arrays, he couldn't increase his power. He had reached his limit. However, the instinct to integrate with heaven and earth continued to increase. At night, Jiang Chongkong felt that he could transform into the moon. It was not with the moonlight, but a complete integration. He was the moonlight, a pure moonlight. After integrating, no one could tell that he was different. After integrating with a wisp of moonlight, Jiang Chongkong seemed to see the bright moon. Just like the illusion of the guardian in the Taiying Palace, the bumpy ground was emitting moonlight. However, there was no moon laurel tree, jade toad, or woodcutter. Jiang Chongkong's aura was also constantly changing. It became more ethereal, and also had a trace of cold aura. It was a little like the Sea Clan. Jiang Chongkong kept adding more moon star arrays to his body, and the cold energy became more and more intense. He also found some array formations of the moon laurel tree and the star array of the guardian body and engraved them on his body. If it weren't for the fact that these star arrays could be hidden, he wouldn't have enough to engrave them on his body. The star array made him turn into a jade toad, walking on the potholes on the moon. The moon laurel tree star array made him turn into a moon laurel tree and grow on the moon. With these star arrays, Jiang Chongkong gradually strengthened his compatibility with the moon star power. Until he had engraved all the moon star arrays he had obtained buzz. There was a buzz in his head. The moon was as cold as water. Jiang Chongkong's vision blurred. He was no longer in his territory, but a palace that seemed real and illusory. Moon Immortal Palace. The 9th floor. The palace wasn't real. It was just a gathering of moonlight. Jiang Chongkong walked in. It was as if he had returned to his home. The moon star power in his body became colder and colder. The twisted star steel. Jiang Chongkong suddenly thought of the broken star steel. His current moon cold chi was no weaker than that star steel. It was pure coldness, extreme coldness. He understood the truth of the moon and turned it into the purest moon force. The moon star power in Jiang Chongkong's body was condensing. It was stronger and more profound than before. He looked at the moon palace. Moonlight shone in his eyes as if he could see through it. A ray of moonlight fell and quickly disintegrated in Jiang Chongkong's eyes. In the blink of an eye, there was only a spot of light left. The spot of light slowly split open, revealing a gap. A profound star character, the most essential route, suddenly appeared. Buzz. An invisible force spread. Jiang Chongkong left the world and appeared on a mountain outside his territory. The cold chi around him dissipated. The mountain under his feet was quickly frozen. Jiang Chongkong grabbed a stone under his feet. The inside of the stone steel was also frozen. It was filled with moon cold chi. Bright moon. Was that the most essential imprint? Jiang Chongkong's eyes opened and closed. He had guessed correctly. The star formation was originally evolved from the imprint of the Great Tao. He kept condensing stars to return to the origin and pry into the Great Tao of stars. It was also a path. However, he wasn't strong enough. He couldn't pry into all the imprints. He had to leave that state. Even a ray of moonlight contained the imprint of the stars. That was the so-called Great Tao of stars. I used some tricks, Jiang Chongkong muttered to himself. He used his battle body to sense the moon's star power and pry into the Great Tao of moon. If other people could also condense their celestial bodies into a bunch of star formations like him, they could also do it. Unfortunately, ordinary cultivators couldn't hide their star bodies like him. They couldn't bear so many star formations. Next, should he digest what he had comprehended or carve the power pattern star formations? Jiang Chongkong thought for a while and decided to digest it first. He wanted to see how strong his moon force could be. His guess that a grain of sand could form a world was also right. A ray of moonlight also contained the Great Tao of stars. If he let every drop of star power carry the Great Tao of stars, then, even if he wasn't a top-level cultivator, he wouldn't be weaker than one. Chapter 350. Others had cultivated for decades or even hundreds of years without comprehending the Great Path or reaching the top level. Jiang Chongkong, who was in the middle stage of the star body realm, had already taken a shortcut. Of course, it was impossible to carry all of the star Great Path. He had only managed to get a glimpse of it. But it was enough for him to form the mark of the Great Path and increase his strength a lot. Thinking of this, Jiang Chongkong began to change the astral power in his body. He condensed a trace of the star Great Path with the star formation. Endless moonlight flowed into Jiang Chongkong's body, who was sitting cross-legged at the top of the mountain. Hundreds of star formations erupted at the same time to receive the moonlight. The rich power of Yin formed the chi of the Great Path and gathered the mark of the Great Path. He swallowed the essence of the sun and the moon to strengthen himself. Jiang Changkong's current state was like a monster in a story. As the moonlight flowed into his body, hundreds of star formations erupted. The extreme cold of Yin spread quickly and froze the entire mountain. Jiang Changkong was like a bright moon hanging at the top of the mountain. His aura was ethereal and profound. There was also endless loneliness and a trace of desolation. He was like a real bright moon. This scene attracted many martial artists in the territory. They looked at the two bright moons in the sky. Is that Jiang Changyue? A martial artist looked up at the top of the mountain. Two moons. They don't look different. They seem to be real. The martial artists in the territory were a little confused. They really couldn't tell. At the moment, Jiang Changkong was no different from the real moon. If there was a difference, it was that he was still too weak. He couldn't compare to the real moon's star. Jiang Changyue, it must be Jiang Changyue, the Lord's best friend. He has always been in the territory, the martial artists from the tranquil province said with certainty. Buzz. Many stars suddenly appeared in the sky, watching the bright moon at the top of the mountain in the distance. The great path of Yin, the human clan will have another top martial artist, Sha Hongtao said. Everyone says that Jiang Changkong is an unparalleled genius. This Jiang Changyue is not weak either. Jiang Changkong is a peerless monster. His main strength is still far from the great Tao. Jiang Changyue is the real monster. Feng Tianmao's voice rang out. He could not hide the envy in his voice. It's been a few decades. I'm really getting old. I've never been able to break through this barrier, allowing the younger generation to easily comprehend it. The voice of a yellow sand star was full of bitterness. Second brother, I believe in you. It's just that the time isn't right yet. Sha Hongtao hurriedly consoled him. Sigh, I'll head back first. Yellow sand star sighed. Merging with the world? This was too much of a blow. Jiang Changkong changed his star force, and the star array in his body began to change as he peered into the great Tao of stars. Hundreds of star formations were disappearing, and his body was transforming, becoming stronger. The lunar star formation, as well as the star formation that Jiang Changkong had upgraded, were all integrated at this moment. They formed the image of a crescent moon, engraved between his eyebrows. Ancient star characters appeared. This was the mark of the great Tao of moon that he had borne, but it was very faint. If one did not look carefully, it would be almost impossible to discover. Similarly, it could be hidden, just like the star character mark of the great Tao of force that the corpse had given him. The lunar star body seemed to have disappeared, but it did not disappear. It had completely integrated. The new body was stronger than the star path, but weaker than the star path. When he continued to bear more of the great Tao of moon, he could be considered to have stepped into the star path. As the stars were imprinted, the star power in his body also changed. There was a trace of a special aura, the aura of the imprint. The great Tao of moon. This saves a lot of effort, but this is only staining the aura, not carrying it. Jiang Changkong murmured. He merged with the world and disappeared. Now, he could use the power of the lunar star to rub against the Fengqi star, provided that he did not use the charged killing move. However, the circulation of the star power could be stained with the aura of the great Tao of moon and become more and more special, but it could not be done yet. A drop of star power was comparable to a star. This was a bit delusional, because this was completely a drop of star power carrying the great Tao of stars. Next was the force pattern. He had upgraded the force patterns, and they all became the most suitable for him. Of course, he chose the upgraded star formation. It was very easy for Jiang Changkong to carve the star formation with perfect control. It was not difficult at all, but the pain did not lessen. After an unknown period of time, Jiang Changkong saw the force pattern Immortal Palace. It also had 9 levels. The floating blood qi contained the purest great Tao of force patterns. Jiang Chongkong once again turned into a blood-colored star, prying into a trace of the Tao of Force patterns. This time, Jiang Chongkong's movements were smaller, so no one noticed. The star pattern imprint left behind by the near god's corpse appeared, automatically helping him to transform quickly. Not long after, the force pattern imprint condensed and merged into the space between his eyebrows, hiding. His 8 force patterns and 3-meter golden body all had a trace of the great Tao imprint. Within Stargate, the lunar star and the force pattern star also had a trace of the great Tao imprint, a very deep one. The pure power had a trace of an unusual aura. Should it be called Tao aura? Soul, I have to make a trip to the near god's treasure trove. Jiang Chongkong pondered. White Cloud 9-layer Sutra and Cloud Sky Secret Codex were still lacking. As for the Overlord Blade, he could not find anything similar. If there was no other way, he could only gather resources and advance to the Starpath realm. Jiang Chongkong merged with heaven and earth again, comprehending the power of the White Cloud. Sun-star formation, waiting for Liangqiu Xuani to bring him to the Immortal Palace to search for information. Time passed, a guest came to the territory, and Jiang Chongkong was woken up. In the tea house of the territory, Liangqiu Xuani took a sip of tea and said calmly, "Lord Jiang is really patient, cultivating in seclusion for 4 months." Jiang Chongkong looked at his phone and said helplessly, "Cultivation knows no time, I have finally experienced it now. I already took a shortcut, and it still took me 4 months, what else can I do?" And this was in the end, with the help of the near god's imprint, only 4 months had passed. However, with experience, it wouldn't take so long next time. Those people can't wait anymore. When do you plan to make a move? Liangqiu Xuani asked. Give me 2 days, 4 months, the star crystals in the wasteland should be processed, I will collect them first. Jiang Chongkong thought of the star crystals in his wasteland, 14 pieces of wasteland, who knew how much essence, qi, and spirit it could bring him. All right, I will wait for you here. Liangqiu Xuani said calmly. You are so obvious, will they believe you? Jiang Chongkong frowned. Liangqiu Xuani said, Don't forget, we are partners, friends, they only need to be sure that I can lure you over. Then do as you wish, I will go first. Jiang Chongkong stood up and left. He went to look for Su Hengji to retrieve the astral crystals that he had processed. Su Hengji had already returned and handed the star crystals to him. Lord, I will use these star crystals to pay my salary. Also, I promised Yi Qiushui 2 pieces of wasteland. After developing them, she will give us 10% of the profits every month. Okay. Jiang Chongkong nodded and accepted the star crystals. As for the wasteland, he promised Yi Qiushui before, so he gave it to her. Anyway, the large mine had already been dug. As for the salary, that was something he should do. He looked around, and there were still many rank 7 star crystals, so he took out a small half. You can keep it for your salary, or you can use it with old Liang and the others. Lord, isn't this too much? Su Hengji was shocked. This was hundreds of thousands of rank 7 star crystals. It's the salary, not all of it is for you. All right, I will leave first. After speaking, Jiang Chongkong left directly. He was very generous with things that were useless to him. Unfortunately, be it the small mine or the large mine, the rank 7 star crystals occupied more than half. After a period of time, the simple mine would be useless to him. After all, the large mine did not have many rank 9 star crystals. Chapter 351. Jiang Chongkong counted the astral crystals in the secret room. The number was shocking, and it even made Jiang Chongkong tremble. Inferior grade 8 astral crystals, 430,000. Middle grade astral crystals, 240,000. High grade astral crystals, 180,000. Top grade astral crystals, 110,000. Inferior grade 9 astral crystals, 55,000. Middle grade astral crystals, 32,000. High grade astral crystals, 16,000. Top grade astral crystals, 4,000. After distributing the 14 pieces of land and deducting the salary, he still had that much left. Essence, chi, and spirit. 37. 2 million. He still had more than 2 million essence, which was enough for him to reach the late-stage starry sky realm. After extracting his essence, chi, and spirit, Jiang Chongkong left his territory and entered the ancient battlefield. He sat down cross-legged and upgraded the 8 martial art. The 7 stars started to vibrate, and the runes increased again. Jiang Chongkong's bright moon and the power rune star had a stronger Tao aura, like a real bright moon and a power star. The phenomenon spread and shook half of the ancient battlefield. The power rune star caused the ancient battlefield's killing array to shake. His Tao seal increased slightly, which made his strength soar again. The astral force in his body surged, and his foundation was strong enough to shock any expert. The White Cloud Star, the Tai Chi Star, the Tyrant Saber Star, and the God-governing Art Star all appeared and revolved around him. At the same time, the number of star formation patterns on these stars increased rapidly. After reaching the late-stage starry sky realm, Jiang Chongkong's strength increased dramatically again. The power of the Moon Star and the Power Rune Star could easily kill Feng Qixing, even if he had to accumulate power for a few days. This time, no one would be able to break his defense. With the Tao aura, he could do it without activating the 3 stars. Jiang Chongkong didn't know how strong a starry sky realm cultivator was, but he was sure of one thing, and that was, he was a crab if he was below the top level. If he wanted to walk sideways, he would walk sideways. After the upgrade, Jiang Chongkong wasn't in a hurry to leave. He continued to condense the 9th grade superior star array. This time, with his previous experience, Jiang Chongkong felt that he wouldn't need 4 months. After all, it had taken him a very long time to comprehend it. First, he carved the star formation of power runes, and with the speed of the star text of a god, Jiang Chongkong soon got a glimpse of the great Tao of power runes. The great Tao of force pattern in his body strengthened a little more, and his star power also increased a little. His Taoist rhyme circulated, and his power multiplied. Next was the Moon Great Tao. He carved a superior grade 9th tier battle body star formation to pry into the great Tao and add his own great Tao imprint. After an unknown period of time, Jiang Chongkong finished cultivating. The mark on his forehead solidified a little. Only then did he check his stat. Jiang Chongkong, late star realm high-tier high-grade martial art, 3-foot golden body, Deshang, 1/28. 8 million Tai Chi Yin Yang art, Deshang, 1/28. 8 million God-governing art, Deshang, 1/28. 8 million bright moon skill, Deshang, 1/28. 8 million blade, Deshang, 1/28. 8 million holy sun art, Deshang, 1/28. 8 million white cloud 9-fold sutra, Deshang, 1/28. 8 million high-grade array art, battle body star formation, incomplete Deshang, 1/28. 8 million essence, energy and spirit, 102.88854 inch it. Only been 2 months. I don't think he's in a hurry. Jiang Chongkong glanced at the date, then turned into light and left. He scanned the area with the God-governing art and found Liangqiu Xuani drinking tea in the territory. Miss Xuani, you're in a good state of mind. You're not in a hurry at all. Jiang Chongkong appeared and said with a smile. Liangqiu Xuani calmed down. I've called you 58 times in the past 2 months, but you didn't respond once. Oh, really? Maybe I was too focused on the star Tao, so I didn't sense it. Jiang Chongkong wasn't embarrassed. He was in a good mood after his breakthrough. You don't have to go there if you don't want to, Liangqiu Xuani said indifferently. It's not just the divine palace. I'm also very interested in the divine treasure that Miss Xuani mentioned. Jiang Chongkong put his hands behind his back and said with a hint of eagerness in his eyes, I wonder if Miss Xuani can help me get it? Do you really think I'm omnipotent? Liang Xuanyi rolled her eyes at him. Or do you have the soul-stabilizing tree and are confident that you can find it? I don't have the soul-stabilizing tree. Miss Xuanyi, you should know that I'm also a soul martial artist. Now that Changyue has comprehended the Moon Great Tao, I've been greatly inspired. I'm wondering if there's anything in the divine treasure that can help me comprehend the Soul Great Tao? Jiang Chongkong said indifferently. Jiang Changyue, bring him along this time. It'll be safer. Liang Xuanyi's calm face changed a few times. Comprehending the Star Tao and reaching the top martial artist realm would be a whole new world. Jiang Changyue's strength and Jiang Chongkong's strength were the strongest below the top martial artist realm. Liang Xuanyi found it hard to imagine who else other than the top martial artist realm could restrain the two of them. Changyue has his own path to walk. I'm enough to deal with a bunch of useless people. Jiang Chongkong waved his hand and said, Just answer my question. Can you get it? Liang Xuanyi said calmly, Gu Yanyu and Qiu Yun will also be in this battle. They should be carrying such a precious treasure with them. They're from the Divine Palace. Isn't the treasure with the Divine Palace? Jiang Chongkong was puzzled. They obtained it themselves. Since the soul-stabilizing tree appeared, the Divine Palace didn't ask them for it. Liang Xuanyi explained. Then let's go. Where is it? Jiang Chongkong asked. Here. Liang Xuanyi took out her phone and sent him an address. I'll go first. You can go ahead of me, but don't show yourself. Jiang Chongkong nodded and merged with the world. Liang Xuanyi left the territory, put on a suit of armor, and disappeared into the distance. A superior 9th grade armor. Jiang Chongkong, who had merged with the world, was slightly surprised, but he quickly calmed down. Liang Xuanyi must have a great force behind her. If she could get information about the Divine Palace, it wouldn't be surprising for her to have a superior 9th grade armor. Jiang Chongkong followed her closely and merged with the sunlight. With the help of the mystic Yang step, his speed was extremely fast, far surpassing Liang Xuanyi. Jiang Chongkong merged with the sunlight, and the power of his sacred Yang art increased a lot. The place Liang Xuanyi mentioned was a valley. The valley was full of flowers, releasing a strong fragrance. There were star arrays and star martial artists hiding in the dark. If not for the star arrays and star martial artists hiding in the dark, Jiang Chongkong felt that this place was no different from an ordinary valley. Did something happen to Yinan here? Jiang Chongkong merged with the world and didn't rush to show himself. A few hours later, Liang Xuanyi finally arrived. She entered the valley in a suit of armor. Liang Xuanyi, is Jiang Chongkong here yet? There was a fluctuation in the void, and a martial artist appeared. It was Xing Ming, an old acquaintance. Jiang Chongkong was slightly surprised. Budokai really had a lot of resources. They could even cure someone who had been beaten into an idiot. He's here. With his speed, he'll be here soon, Liang Xuanyi said. Liang Xuanyi, you really don't want anything for killing Jiang Chongkong? There was a fluctuation in the void, and a martial artist appeared. Another familiar face, Shui Wujiang. Xuanyi wants him dead, Liang Xuanyi said coldly. With a cold voice, Liang Xuanyi said, Everyone, I have spent a great deal of effort in order to lure him over. You must not disappoint me. Don't worry. With the treasured land provided by Miss Xuanyi, Jiang Chongkong won't survive this time. Voices could be heard coming from the void. All right, he's coming. Everyone, be careful. After saying that, Liang Xuanyi's armor shone and merged with the void. Xing Ming and the others also quickly merged with the void and disappeared. Jiang Chongkong knew it was time for him to show up. Chapter 352. Appearing out of thin air, Jiang Chongkong descended from the sky and landed on the ground. As if he was unaware of what was happening, he asked, Liang Xuanyi, where's your gift? After that, he stepped into the valley. No one responded. The valley was dead silent. Jiang Chongkong's brows suddenly furrowed. Boundless stellar energy burst forth, causing the earth to crack, the valley to collapse, and the void to tremble. "Come out!" Dust billowed as he took a step forward, causing the entire valley to tremble. Buzz. Silhouettes were forced out from the sky by a powerful force. "Jiang Chongkong, today will be the day you die." With a cold roar, Xing Guang made the first move and slashed down. A torrential flood swept out as the azure pearl unleashed its power. Shui Wujiang had also made his move. Gu Yanyu and Qiu Yun opened the soul labyrinth once again. "A bunch of losers. Who gave you the courage to face me again?" Jiang Chongkong harumphed as a formless force swept across the valley. Rumble. When the starlight dissipated, silhouettes were sent flying and the weaker ones exploded. Starlight filled the sky as Jiang Chongkong stood at the center with his hands behind his back. "Liangqiu Xuani, is this your gift?" "It's not just that. Young Master Jiang, experience it well," Liangqiu Xuani said. Rumble. The ground trembled as the runes of a star formation appeared with a unique aura. Dao Aura. A top-grade killing formation? Jiang Chongkong had a look of astonishment on his face. From the looks of it, this looked like an incomplete peak-grade killing array. The Dao charm of this array was even stronger than his. Young Master Jiang has a good eye. This is a natural trap, a top-grade killing formation. Although it's incomplete, it's more complete than the god-slaughtering formation that you know. Liangqiu Xuani said, "Most importantly, there's a trace of the Dao here. A trace of the Dao, the symbol of the starry Dao, the symbol of a top-grade killing formation. Although it was only a trace, it could cause irreparable damage to starry sky cultivators, or even kill them." Kill! Many star martial artists appeared and infused their star power into the top-grade killing array. A strong wind blew and a tornado soared into the sky. A wisp of azure Dao light was faintly visible. A unique oppressive aura swept across the area. Everything in front of him turned into wind, turned into a great Dao of stars. An ancient and boundless aura assaulted Jiang Chongkong's mind. The great Dao that seemed to have existed since the beginning of time bloomed with supreme killing intent. Although their star powers were different and they were unable to unleash the full power of the killing array, under the leadership of a few wind elemental star martial artists, the power of the array was so strong that martial artists who had not comprehended the great Dao would die. As for Astral Radiance and the others, they set up the God-Killer formation once more. What a pity! This trace of the great Dao brand has been wasted by you. Jiang Chongkong sighed lightly as he released his monstrous vital energy. His vital energy shot into the sky as the mark of the great Dao appeared between his brows. Dense Dao rhymes circulated as the 8 power patterns vibrated. A ferocious aura emanated from Jiang Chongkong's body. It was like a ferocious beast that had walked out from the primeval times, and its enormous pressure was only slightly weaker than the grand Dao of wind here. Rumble. His body expanded as a 30-zhang golden body appeared. Roar. The power patterns howled as the ferocious aura became even more terrifying. A monstrous primeval beast came from the primeval times. The great Dao of force. At this moment, everyone's expression changed as they were somewhat dumbfounded. This was the great Dao of force. When did Jiang Chongkong comprehend it? Wasn't it said that only Jiang Chongyue comprehended the great Dao of moon? Liangqiu Xuani was shocked and could no longer remain calm. She had previously reminded Jiang Chongkong to call Jiang Chongyue. Jiang Chongkong said that he could handle it himself. She was initially a little worried, but now she could worry that Jiang Chongkong would turn hostile and kill her. A true peerless genius. His strength doubled as his Dao rhymes circulated, and a formless force spread across the entire valley. Rumble. Heaven and earth shook as the ground crumbled. The mark of the great Dao of wind directly exploded and dissipated. When the power reached its peak, everything became nothing. The great Dao of force surged out, shaking heaven and earth. Everything disappeared, and the top-grade killing array was destroyed. The near deity-killing array exploded in a breath's time. Starlight, who bore the brunt of the attack, stiffened with a horrified expression. Then, it turned into specks of dust and vanished. The other cultivators were the same. Before Jiang Changkong's strength, they were as fragile as paper. Crack! Shattering sounds rang out as spatial equipment left one after another. Astral crystals and other items fell and turned into dust. Damn, Jiang Changkong himself was stunned. What's going on? Did I run out of astral crystals? Shouldn't these spatial equipment be very sturdy? They shouldn't be damaged. After a long time, the energy dissipated. The entire valley had been razed to the ground. Aside from Liang Qiuxuani, all the other cultivators had vanished. Liang Qiuxuani's battle armor cracked, and blood flowed continuously. She clenched her teeth and said, "Don't you recognize others? Don't you know how to hold back? I thought that this place was very strong, so I used my full power." Jiang Changkong felt somewhat embarrassed. He had already held back, not even using his astral bodies to bully them. Who knew that they would be so weak? "In that case, I'll have to trouble you to retract the energy you left in my body," Liang Qiuxuani said angrily. Only then did Jiang Changkong notice that Liang Qiuxuani still had a trace of energy and a tiny bit of Tao. With this Tao, she could not recover unless she got rid of it. If one wanted to get rid of the Tao, they would have to be like him, someone who comprehended the astral great Tao. With a wave of his hand, the Tao vanished. Jiang Changkong's body returned to normal. Then, he started to collect astral crystals. What a loss! What a loss! If I had known, I would have fought slowly. Liang Qiuxuani's lips twitched. "You're still concerned about astral crystals at a time like this?" Jiang Changkong felt very depressed. The rank 8 astral crystals had all turned into dust. There were no inferior rank 9 astral crystals left. Only superior rank 9 astral crystals remained intact. However, there were not many superior rank 9 astral crystals either. What a sin! I need close to 30 million astral crystals to improve a martial art now. How am I supposed to live? Can you stop feeling sad? Liang Qiuxuani's lips twitched. She had the urge to strangle Jiang Changkong. Isn't it just some astral crystals? You're already so strong and have so many territories. Why do you care about this bit of astral crystals? You'll never understand the pain of the poor. Jiang Changkong hammered his forehead. I need to reflect on myself and remember this mistake. I'll be gentler in the future. Although these cultivators were all experts and did not have many rank 8 astral crystals or inferior rank 9 astral crystals, they were still vital. Liang Qiuxuani, I'm so angry. If I had such strength, I wouldn't care about this bit of astral crystals. No, what you want is not here. After Gu Yenyu and the others died, they did not drop out. Liang Qiuxuani frowned. Jiang Changkong raised his head. His heart ached even more. Maybe the ethereal immortal palace took it away in advance. Sigh, what an unlucky year. Alright, are you still going to that place? Liang Qiuxuani could not stand it anymore. She felt like she was about to go crazy because of Jiang Changkong. Of course. How? Let me count first. How many astral crystals do I have? Jiang Changkong asked as he began to count. Liang Qiuxuani could not stand it anymore. She sent a powerful palm strike into the valley. The ground split open, and a spatial rift appeared, swallowing the two of them. Boom! All of a sudden, a green sword light shot over, blocking the path of the two of them. A green rope wrapped around the two of them and directly dragged them out. A wild laughter rang out. Jiang Changkong, I've caught you now. Liang Qiuxuani, are you sure you're serious? You might have caught a father. It's true. Chapter 353. Jiang Changkong was dumbfounded. He was counting his star crystals when he was dragged out of the spatial crack. A green rope was tying him and Liang Qiuxuani together. He sensed that the green rope was full of cracks, and there were star formation patterns shining inside. This rope was no less than half of Shui Wujiang's pearl. An incomplete top-grade weapon. After comprehending the Great Tao mark and seeing the Great Tao formation, Jiang Chongkong felt that these things were trash. They didn't even have a trace of Tao presence, and their essence had already dissipated. It was no problem for them to tie up ordinary peak stars. To him, who had comprehended the Great Tao of Force and Great Tao of Moon, this was no different from an ordinary rope. He was curious about what this guy was trying to do. Feng Qixing. Jiang Chongkong, you're finally in my hands. Feng Qixing didn't have his usual calmness. He placed his hands on his waist and said arrogantly, Immortal Palace, Liangqiu Xuani, little girl, how do you know that there's an aureole behind you? Looking at Liangqiu Xuani proudly, Feng Qixing felt that he had achieved something. He had captured the strongest person below the peak stars, someone that even the Immortal Palace couldn't catch. Liangqiu Xuani looked at him expressionlessly. Are you sick in the head? Didn't you watch the battle just now before you made your move? Heh, little girl, you're still too inexperienced. Feng Qixing walked around the two of them and clicked his tongue. I already knew about the peak grand formation in the valley, including the spatial crack. Ever since you and Jiang Chongkong were discussing this, I've been planning to be the aureole. So, what are you trying to do? Jiang Chongkong blinked and asked curiously. Jiang Chongkong, don't be afraid. I won't hurt you. Of course, don't even think about running. This rope is an incomplete Star Tao weapon. Although it has lost the Great Tao mark, it's still made of extraordinary material. Feng Qixing regained his composure. He hugged his sword and said with a hint of arrogance, Even if you have a strong foundation, you won't be able to break free if you don't know the Great Tao. Cut the crap. Tell me your purpose, Jiang Chongkong said calmly. Feng Qixing's face blossomed into a wide smile. The first reason is obviously to get close to the godly treasures. The second reason is to follow me. Near divine treasure? What do you mean? Jiang Chongkong was puzzled. Feng Qixing flipped his hand and a palm-sized, six-floored palace appeared. As soon as the palace appeared, it began to shake, and Jiang Chongkong's body began to emit a misty light. The soul-stabilizing tree swayed, countless roots extending out. However, the green rope emitted starlight and sealed the soul-stabilizing tree. Why is this thing in your hands? The soul-anchoring tree is indeed with you. The two of them spoke at the same time. Feng Qixing had a trace of excitement in his voice. Before we started, I killed someone from the Immortal Palace. I only wanted to eavesdrop on some news when I joined the astral team. I didn't expect to learn about a treasure that was close to a god. Feng Qixing didn't hide anything. To him, he already had Jiang Chongkong in the bag. He was extremely lucky this time. He obtained a treasure that was close to a god and even caught Jiang Chongkong. He had been paying attention to the news of a treasure that was close to a god. He didn't expect Gu Yanyu and the others to send it back to the Immortal Palace. He followed them all the way and killed the people from the Immortal Palace to obtain the palace. Don't worry. When I get the treasure, I will give you a share. Feng Qixing patted his chest and promised. I'm not like those bastards from the Immortal Palace. You're the one who gives away wealth. Jiang Chongkong sighed. He was very excited. I thought I couldn't get the palace, but you gave it to me? Thank you so much. What do you mean? Feng Qixing was stunned. Crack, crack, a special aura emanated from Jiang Chongkong's body, and the power mark on his forehead appeared. A unique Taoist rhyme circulated. The green rope couldn't withstand it and cracked inch by inch. You, who told you that I don't understand the Tao? Jiang Chongkong laughed coldly. He raised his hand and the green rope shattered. He grabbed Feng Qixing. What the F***ck? Feng Qixing cried out in shock and ran outside. This was a freaking pervert. He clearly didn't understand the Tao, but he went into seclusion for half a year. When he came out, he understood the Tao of power. Didn't they say that you only cultivate the foundation and not the Tao? If you continue like this, You won't need 100 years to reach the top. You'll be able to do it in a few years, right? However, before he could run a few steps, Feng Qixing's neck tightened. He was lifted by Jiang Chongkong. The 6-story palace in his hand fell, and was caught by Jiang Chongkong. The soul-stabilizing tree spread out. Countless roots wrapped around the palace and went deep into every floor. Chongkong, brother Jiang, do a good deed and pretend that nothing happened. Let's go our separate ways, okay? Feng Qixing's face twitched. He shouldn't have accepted this mission. This palace is close to divine treasures? Jiang Chongkong said with a smile. It's all Brother Kong's. I came here this time to be the boy of wealth, Feng Qixing said seriously. Where did you say you were bringing me? Jiang Chongkong said indifferently. I'm just sincerely inviting Brother Kong to be a guest at my house. I have no other intentions. Feng Qixing had a sincere look, and his eyes were filled with pleading. Liang Qiushhuani stood up. Your house? The void is so big. Where is your house? Jiang Chongkong nodded. Miss Xuani is right. Where is your house? Since you invited me to be a guest, tell me a place. I'll prepare a gift and go there personally. Feng Qixing's lips twitched. You prepared a gift? You're probably going to get a bunch of people to raise my place, right? Countless routes appeared in Jiang Chongkong's mind. The 6-story maze also appeared in his mind. After thinking for a while, Jiang Chongkong poured a stream of star power into Feng Qixing's body and sealed his cultivation. Help me look after him. I'll take a look at this thing first. Jiang Chongkong handed Feng Qixing over to Liang Qiushhuani and sat down with his legs crossed. He held the 6-story palace with both hands and began exploring its secret. Come with me. Liang Qiushhuani carried Feng Qixing and walked to the side. Sister, we're all friends. Let's peace-bang. After losing his cultivation, Feng Qixing was slapped to the ground by Liang Qiushhuani. Liang Qiushhuani took out his sword and slowly pulled it out. A weapon that has lost its Dao branding must have been an impressive top-tier divine armament, right? Good eyes, ah. Feng Qixing struggled to his feet, but before he could stabilize himself, his own sword had already pierced through him. Liang Qiushhuani's expression was calm. It was impossible to tell if she was happy or angry. Just like that, she stabbed him again and again. She didn't ask him anything. She just stabbed him. Feng Qixing felt that he was out of luck. Forget about Jiang Chongkong. This Liang Qiushhuani was simply a lunatic. Jiang Chongkong sank into the 6-story palace and his soul entered the maze. The soul-stabilizing tree guided the way, and Jiang Chongkong moved quickly. In the boundless darkness, there was a hidden door that led to a higher floor. Jiang Chongkong walked in the maze and recorded the formations. The 6-story maze was much weaker than the 6-story Immortal Palace. The 4th floor could only trap Pinnacle Star Realm experts, but not Star Path martial artists. The 5th floor had an additional trace of Dao aura in the Soul Maze. Soul Great Dao branding. Jiang Chongkong didn't stop. With the soul-stabilizing tree, the maze wasn't dangerous, and he easily entered the 6th floor. The 6th floor had more Dao aura, but only a few traces. Jiang Chongkong didn't know how strong Star Path martial artists were. He only knew that if he didn't have the soul-stabilizing tree, he shouldn't even think about the 6th floor. Even if it couldn't trap him, the maze could transfer treasures, making it impossible to find them. In the darkness, a tree branch appeared in front of him. The soul-stabilizing tree branch. This was the final item, the item that would guide him to the divine treasury. Jiang Chongkong's soul power came into contact with the tree branch. The tree branch turned into liquid and merged with his soul-stabilizing tree. The soul-stabilizing tree in his body grew rapidly, growing at a visible speed. Chapter 354. The soul-stabilizing tree grew rapidly and gave him a lot of information. There was no specific location for the treasure, but there was a star rune marking that could guide him there. After that, it was the method to use the 6-story maze. It was also a top-tier weapon that could trap star path cultivators once it was activated. As for killing them, it was impossible. Furthermore, without sufficient strength, one would not be able to trap them for long. As time passed, the Tao aura here had mostly been erased. After a period of time, the Tao aura would disappear completely, and star path cultivators would be able to find it after spending some time. Before the Tao aura disappeared, star path cultivators would not be able to leave the maze, let alone find the treasure. The star rune marking also contained some information on how to open the treasure. The soul-stabilizing tree was required to open the treasure, and even searching for the treasure required the soul-stabilizing tree's cooperation. After entering the treasure, the 6-story palace would be of great use. After digesting the information, Jiang Chongkong exited the maze. The soul-stabilizing tree had finished growing. It was 3 meters tall. Although it was still a distance away from 9 meters, it was already a huge improvement. As the soul-stabilizing tree swayed, Jiang Chongkong's soul became more stable. With the star rune marking, a special feeling was transmitted into his mind, guiding him forward. Roar! All of a sudden, a roar came from outside the cave. Whoosh! The sound of a river flowing could be heard as waves soared into the sky, emitting a pungent smell. The entire cave trembled as countless rocks fell down. Jiang Chongkong suddenly opened his eyes and appeared at the entrance of the cave. An earthy yellow river emitting a pungent smell surged over. Only then did he notice that he was in a cave on a cliff. The walls were smooth and glossy. On the opposite side, 3,000 meters away, there was also a smooth stone wall, as if the ground had been sliced open. A wide river was formed in the middle. The earthy yellow river surged forward, emitting a pungent smell that even Jiang Chongkong found unbearable. What happened? Liang Qiushhuani dragged Feng Qixing to the entrance of the cave. Whoosh! The river soared into the sky, and some of the water splashed onto the trio. Jiang Chongkong's power rune marking appeared, and the river water evaporated. Sizzle! Black smoke rose from the back of Liang Qiushhuani's hand, emitting a foul stench. The back of her hand was rapidly rotting. Liang Qiushhuani's expression changed. Her sword slashed out and directly sliced off the rotten flesh. Feng Qixing was in an even worse state, his entire body was rotting. Jiang Chongkong, quickly release my power! Feng Qixing anxiously shouted. Jiang Chongkong waved his hand, and the rotten flesh disappeared. Then, the power of the sacred sun poured into their bodies. A rich life force quickly healed their injuries. Chongkong, your comprehension of extreme yang star power has become even more profound, Liang Qiushhuani praised. Let me go. Let me go or I'll die. Feng Qixing cried out anxiously. Die? What exactly is this yellow river? It can actually stimulate my great Tao. Jiang Chongkong brought the two of them back into the cave. He looked at the place where they were standing before and said, "And it's useless against this stone? What yellow river? This is the corpse river, the yellow spring." Feng Qixing's expression turned gloomy. A trace of fear appeared in his eyes. Unless one comprehended a great Tao, no living being can resist this thing. Corpse river? Yellow spring? Why haven't I heard of it before? Jiang Chongkong frowned. Liang Qiushhuani continued, the ethereal palace has records of the yellow spring. It has always been in the depths of the void realm. Not many people know about it. Rumor has it that the yellow spring flows on its own. However, the yellow spring does not normally move unless someone alarmed it or it senses a large number of death. This is the depths of the void realm? You brought us here. Have you never thought of the yellow spring? Jiang Chongkong's expression turned unsightly. The yellow spring is not nearby. This was originally just an ordinary cave. Feng Qixing's expression turned unsightly. We should be thousands of miles away from the yellow spring. The yellow spring should not have appeared here. The ethereal palace has records that there are 2 reasons for the yellow spring's formation. First, it is the accumulation of countless experts' corpses. Second, it is said that cultivators of the death Tao absorb corpse qi and slaughter living beings to refine the yellow spring. Liang Qiuhuani's expression turned cold. Regardless of which reason it is, those who do not comprehend a great Tao will definitely die when the yellow spring passes through. Feng Qixing, you really don't know? The yellow spring was still surging outside. Jiang Chongkong looked at Feng Qixing. I don't need to seek death, right? Feng Qixing said bitterly. Although my comprehension is profound, I have not comprehended a great Tao. You saw it earlier. Jiang Chongkong frowned and let go of Feng Qixing. I can protect you, but isn't this yellow spring a little too big? How long had it been? They still hadn't reached this place, and it was still as majestic as ever. This yellow springs was simply unfathomable. It is indeed very big. If this yellow spring was refined by a cultivator, it would be at least a peak star Tao cultivator. Liang Qiuhuani's gaze turned grave. What I'm worried about now is that this yellow spring is the one in the mirage. That's the only one with such a scale. Feng Qixing recovered his power. His expression turned grave. We will be fine if we hide in the cave. As I said earlier, there are only two possibilities for the yellow spring to run. Liang Qiuhuani said gravely, a large number of deaths have alarmed someone. Feng Qixing's expression sank. For this yellow spring, unless it involves tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of living beings, no deaths can be considered a large number. In that case, it can only be alarmed, Jiang Chongkong said with a frown. Could it be a peak cultivator? According to them, only peak cultivators like him, who comprehended a trace of a great Tao, could possibly alarm the yellow spring. But why would the yellow spring run in this direction? Liang Qiuhuani could no longer remain calm. Could it be a coincidence? Roar! A roar rang out again, and the river water splashed. Within the flickering light, it suddenly turned black. A huge eyeball blocked the cave entrance and stared at them. Oh no, it's a netherworld dragon. Feng Qixing was horrified. The yellow spring has given birth to a netherworld dragon. Jiang Chongkong's expression sank. This netherworld dragon gave him great pressure. The huge eyeball quickly disappeared. The netherworld dragon did not kill them. Instead, it ran past them. Jiang Chongkong quickly rushed out of the cave entrance and saw a 300-meter-long dragon flying in the sky above the yellow spring, stirring it up from time to time. The gray dragon's body seemed real and illusory at the same time. It emitted a cold and sinister aura of death. The soul-stabilizing tree trembled violently. Countless roots looked like they were about to break out of the tree and swallow the netherworld dragon. It had a camel-like head, no horns, and 2 lumps on its head. Its body was like a snake, covered in scales. It had 4 legs and sharp claws. This is a freaking flood dragon. Didn't they say that there were no fiends? Why did this flood dragon appear? Jiang Chongkong stared at the netherworld dragon. The netherworld dragon sensed him and turned to look at him. It roared and dove into the yellow spring. Are you tired of living? Feng Qixing and Liang Qiuhuani came to his side and pulled him in. I've broadened my horizons today. I can actually see a flood dragon. Jiang Chongkong took a deep breath and said, I even saw the yellow spring. Can anyone tell me if hell is real or not? We should be glad that this netherworld dragon did not attack us. This netherworld dragon is probably comparable to a peak cultivator, Feng Qixing said. It's probably not even a peak cultivator yet. Jiang Chongkong shook his head. He felt that he could take down this netherworld dragon by himself. If it reached the peak, the pressure on him would be even greater. Chapter 355. Jiang Chongkong felt that his worldview was collapsing. He needed to get to know this new world. First, there was the Lunar Immortal Palace. He saw the Jade Toad and the Moon Cassia Tree. There was also the Sun Immortal Palace. There might be the Golden Crow and the Phoenix. Now, there was the Yellow Spring and the Abyss Dragon. He felt that he could accept it. You can explain now. Jiang Chongkong looked at the two. Aren't you going to give me an explanation? The universe is boundless. Don't be surprised if anything happens, Feng Qixing said. In this world, other than humans and the star demon, there are other species. They just haven't shown up yet. Now is not the time to discuss this. The yellow spring passed through, and no living beings exist. That abyss dragon didn't kill us. There must be something wrong. Liang Qiushuani said, It's possible that there are even more powerful things behind. What an unlucky year. Jiang Chongkong frowned. He quickly wrapped the two and merged with the world. In the next moment, a middle-aged man appeared. He looked at the cave suspiciously but found nothing. What are you looking at? Hurry up. Don't get lost, a young man appeared and urged. I sensed two people here just now. They suddenly disappeared. The middle-aged man frowned. A late-stage star body and an early-stage star embryo. You're thinking too much. Why would late-stage star body and early-stage star embryo appear here? Also, how could they hide from us? The young man smiled. Let's go. Don't delay important matters. Maybe I'm thinking too much. After saying that, the middle-aged man turned and left. The two left. Jiang Chongkong did not appear. A quarter of an hour later, the two men reappeared. Looking at the empty cave, they left again. After waiting for another half an hour and confirming that the two had left, the void rippled, and they came out of the cave. The yellow spring had already left. The two men followed it. Those two are the top candidates of the Immortal Palace. Rumor has it that they have comprehended a trace of the star Great Tao. Liang Qiushuani said calmly. The two of them are still unable to drive that abyss dragon away. Jiang Chongkong's expression darkened. Those two could not even pressure him. How could they deal with the abyss dragon? Maybe he has a treasure in his hand. Feng Qixing explained. He took a few steps forward and opened his arms. Jiang Chongkong, welcome to the depths of the Void Realm, a whole new world. I heard that the depths of the Void Realm are filled with powerful star demon. It's very difficult for humans to set foot there, but it doesn't seem to be the case. Jiang Chongkong's expression turned slightly cold. He looked around at the countless mountains, dense forests, and lush weeds. It was a primitive landscape with no traces of human life. How can they imagine the depths of the Void Realm? Feng Qixing sneered. He looked to Liang Qiushuani. The Immortal Palace has been here for a very long time. However, they only have a smattering of knowledge. What a smattering of knowledge. You make it sound like you know a lot. Liang Qiushuani glared at him with a trace of coldness in her eyes. Speaking of which, I stabbed you 1355 times, and you called me 14853 times, yet you still didn't tell me why you came. Feng Qixing. You were still counting when you stabbed me? Jiang Chongkong once again got to know Liang Qiushuani. She was also a ruthless person. However, that guy was too stubborn. He did not tell her where he came from even after being stabbed so many times. Feng Qixing's expression turned slightly ugly. He changed the topic and said, Next, don't be surprised by anything you see. Jiang Chongkong pondered and said, I can almost accept it now. Back then, I met the Flower Sea Queen. Her true form should be a flower. The Flower Sea Queen was rumored to be the most beautiful flower in the starry sky. When she bloomed, the entire starry sky lit up. Feng Qixing's eyes lit up and said, The soul-killing array you learned is from the Flower Sea Queen, right? Yes. Tell me about the situation here and the Yellow Spring just now. I plan to go and take a look, said Jiang Chongkong. Do you want to die? You saw the Abyss Dragon's strength and the people from the Immortal Palace. Feng Qixing's expression changed slightly. It's precisely because there are people from the Immortal Palace that I want to go. Jiang Chongkong's expression turned cold. If it's only those two pieces of trash, I'll just kill them. The two of them opened their mouths but had no choice. Jiang Chongkong said to follow, so they could only follow. There are few people in the depths of the Void Realm. Some starry sky species have survived. There are many powerful star demon here. It could even be said that the star demon's force is the strongest here. Feng Qixing said, but in terms of individual strength, the star demon's strength is not necessarily the strongest. What about the Immortal Palace? Jiang Chongkong asked. It can be considered a powerful force, Feng Qixing said casually. It seemed that he did not care about the Immortal Palace. You're from the depths of the Void Realm? What force do you belong to? Jiang Chongkong asked. Lord Jiang, please don't ask me where I'm from. If you're willing, I can bring you there. At most, I'll bring Liang Qiuxuani. Feng Qixing looked at Liang Qiuxuani and said, If there's a chance in the future, I'll go there, Jiang Chongkong said indifferently. Forget it for now. He was not at the top level yet. The force that could teach Feng Qixing definitely had top-level martial artists. The genius who defeated the prodigy back then had probably stepped into the top level. The Immortal Palace has been active in the depths of the Void Realm for so many years, but they are very wise and did not act rashly. Feng Qixing said with a hint of arrogance, The forces in the depths of the Void Realm may not be able to fight against the Federation, but destroying the Immortal Palace is still a piece of cake. You're quite confident. Do you know the Immortal Palace's strength? Are there any people who are close to the gods? Jiang Chongkong sneered. Feng Qixing looked a little embarrassed. They're not top-level martial artists. Not top-level martial artists? Do I even need you? I can do it myself, Jiang Chongkong said disdainfully. Without top-level martial artists, he could flatten the Immortal Palace by himself. Feng Qixing was speechless. You're amazing, I won't say any more, alright? The Immortal Palace has records in the depths of the Void Realm that there are some galactic species living there, as well as traces of humans. Liang Qiuxuani's expression changed slightly. However, they did not find any traces of humans, and top-level martial artists could not detect them either. It seems that you guys have hidden very well. I'm more curious. Are you an Earthling or a remnant of the universe? Jiang Chongkong's eyes glowed with a cold light, and there was a faint murderous intent in them. You're not thinking of killing me, are you? Feng Qixing looked flustered. Why was Jiang Chongkong a little temperamental? They were having a good conversation, so why did he suddenly have murderous intent? Jiang Chongkong's expression changed into a smile. You're thinking too much. Let's go. If he was a remnant of the universe, then he really did not want to stay. What was the point of spying on Earth, hiding so deeply, and even plotting against him? However, he had to figure it out first. If he harbored ill intentions, then he would destroy them all when he had the strength. Back then, there were too many things scattered in the universe. Even the star demon could come over, so it was not impossible for him to bring some other creatures. What he was most worried about was the old monster's reincarnation. I don't know where we are now, and how far away we are from where we're going, Liang Qiuxuani said. Chapter 356. After Feng Qixing intervened, Liang Qiuxuani ran deep into the Void Realm and lost her direction. They could not go to the Immortal Palace's location for the time being. The research materials could only be retrieved later. The people from the Immortal Palace appeared nearby and drove the Yellow Spring away. The place we're going should not be far from here, Jiang Chongkong said after some thought. Feng Qixing curled his lips and said, Why don't you ask me? I know. You know where we're going? Liang Qiuxuani frowned. I'm familiar with this place. I basically know the Immortal Palace's stronghold in the Void Realm, Feng Qixing said. You're really a living map. Liang Qiuxuani snorted, her eyes filled with coldness. Alright, stop talking. Let's take a look first. Jiang Chongkong waved his hand and brought them into the world. They had already caught up. The Yellow Spring passed by. The ground did not change, but some living creatures were different. Some weaker star demon were drowned by the Yellow Spring and turned into corpse water. The Abyss Dragon controlled the Yellow Spring, and everywhere it passed, life was gone. Even the weeds and trees turned into liquid and merged with the yellow spring. Some star demon corpses also merged with it, not even leaving a piece of skin behind. The corrosive power of the yellow spring corpse water could not be resisted without a great Tao mark. Dense golden light shone, and a golden crow appeared, emitting raging flames. Roar! The abyss dragon roared and looked at the golden crow in fear. It ran even faster. The golden crow drove the abyss dragon away. Although it's not a real golden crow, it's still a 10th grade treasure. It's enough to make the abyss dragon panic. Liangqiu Xuanyi explained calmly. The golden crow circled in the sky, sometimes flying to the left and sometimes flying forward, driving the abyss dragon away. The golden crow circulated a dense Tao rhyme. It was much stronger than Jiang Changkong's great Tao mark. A complete 10th grade treasure. The golden crow was definitely a complete 10th grade treasure. Otherwise, it would not be able to drive the abyss dragon away and would not have such a dense Tao rhyme. Where are they driving the yellow spring to? Jiang Changkong was a little confused. The people from the Celestial Palace kept driving the abyss dragon to change directions. It was obvious that they had already arranged the abyss dragon's whereabouts. The yellow spring has always remained in its lair, and has not moved for several decades. What is the Immortal Palace planning to do? Liangqiu Xuanyi was also puzzled. That direction, could it be that they've discovered that place? Feng Qixing's expression changed as he exclaimed. Where? Jiang Changkong frowned. An underground ancient battlefield. There is a great tomb there, and a star saint was once buried there. Feng Qixing said with a solemn expression, although so many years have passed, and there aren't many star saints' great Tao seals left, their might is still terrifying. Star sage's treasure, no wonder. Jiang Changkong suddenly realized, these people want to rob the tomb. Lord Jiang, I think it's best if we don't get involved. Feng Qixing shook his head. That place is too dangerous, without any special methods, even Star Tao will die there. You, or the person behind you, have never been tempted by that star sage's tomb? Jiang Changkong asked in disbelief. If they have never been tempted, how would they know that place is dangerous? Liangqiu Xuanyi said calmly, in my opinion, they suffered a great loss there. Feng Qixing had an awkward expression. Indeed, a star Tao is severely injured there, so I advise you not to go in. Since we're already here, let's go in and take a look. Jiang Changkong would not retreat just like that. Who knew how many treasures a star sage had? Should he not go in just because the star Tao was heavily injured? Then he would not go to the Lunar Immortal Palace. Back then, a star Tao was also severely injured there. Feng Qixing could only feel helpless since he could not persuade Jiang Changkong. The yellow spring continued running, and soon arrived at a small mountain. The fetid river water flooded the small mountain, and the underworld dragon roared softly. Rumble! The small mountain trembled and exploded, and a large amount of river water poured in. The underworld dragon rode the yellow spring and rushed down. The small mountain was actually empty, and the tomb of that star sage was inside. Screech! The golden crow cried, and two men appeared, riding on the golden crow, and swooped down. The yellow spring had already poured in, and the underworld dragon had already disappeared. The two men and the golden crow also entered the small mountain. A huge pit appeared in front of the three, and Jiang Changkong led the two in. Why did they bring the yellow spring here? Jiang Changkong asked. First, to use the yellow spring to break through the dangers here, and second, to find the corpse. Liangqiu Xuanyi analyzed. The yellow spring and the underworld dragon have a special sense for corpses, and can find the corpse of that star sage immediately. Feng Qixing nodded and said, Star sage cultivators are extremely powerful, and their corpses are protected by the Great Tao brand. Before the Great Tao brand dissipates, the corpse will not decay. Jiang Changkong nodded. Some killing formations still had the Great Tao brand after so many years. Star sage cultivators had deeper and denser Great Tao brand, and it had dissipated for a longer time. Using the underworld dragon to control the yellow spring to find the corpse and rob the tomb was a good idea. After entering the mountain, there was a vast space. It was an ancient and huge city with hundreds of meters tall walls and star formations in every corner. There were all kinds of ancient buildings in the city, and there was a huge palace in the center. The city is a tomb? Jiang Chongkong was slightly surprised. The Yellow Spring Underworld Dragon had already entered the city, and the two of them had rushed in with the Golden Crow. The city gates were already open, and the star formations on the city walls had lost some of their power. Someone had come to this Star Sage tomb before. Creatures are coming. Don't make a sound. Jiang Chongkong sensed that someone was approaching, so he told the two of them to hide. The air fluctuated and a few star demon appeared. Seeing the city gates open, they rushed in without hesitation. Jiang Chongkong also entered the city with the two of them. The ancient city even had star formations on the ground. Unfortunately, too much time had passed, and these star formations had lost much of their power. The Yellow Spring and the Golden Crow had already entered the city, and no one knew where they went. The Star Demon had also split up to search. Feng Qixing, you know this place well. Tell us, Jiang Chongkong said indifferently. I don't know much either. I only know that no matter where we go, there will be danger. Feng Qixing sighed and said, furthermore, the palace in the center is the most dangerous. There are some treasures there. My sword was taken from the palace by an elder. Isn't the corpse in the palace? Jiang Chongkong asked. No. Until now, no one has found the corpse of the Star Sage. With your strength, it's not a problem for you to be in danger, as long as you don't go to the palace. Feng Qixing said in a deep voice, also, we can wait patiently and be the Oriole. Don't be the Oriole. Jiang Chongkong patted Feng Qixing's shoulder and was about to choose a random direction. Let's follow the Yellow Spring. A stone emitting a misty yellow light appeared in Liang Qiushuani's hand. This is the Yellow Spring stone refined by the Immortal Palace? Feng Qixing was slightly surprised. You have a lot of good stuff. I can't compare to you. I can only take some small items from the Immortal Palace. After saying that, Liang Qiushuani held the Yellow Spring stone, found the direction, and led them forward. The Yellow Spring stone could sense the location of the Yellow Spring and guide them to it. Chapter 357. Star's sacred warriors were second only to gods. Jiang Chongkong really wanted to know how many good things there were in this star sacred tomb. Roar! The nether dragon roared. The monstrous river surged, and a strong stench came again. The star arrays bloomed with starlight, but they were directly corroded by the Yellow Spring. The nether dragon roared. Are they going to the central palace? Jiang Chongkong led the two of them to the Yellow Spring. The star demon also gathered and headed to the central palace. The star array opened, and starlight blocked Jiang Chongkong's path. The great Tao of force appeared. Everywhere it passed, starlight shattered, and the path of the star array on the ground disappeared. Feng Qixing was shocked. The great Tao of force, hurry up and cultivate the power of the moon. You really think too much. Jiang Chongkong glanced at him and said coldly, if you give me 100 million rank 9 star crystals, I will consider cultivating the power of the moon. Feng Qixing shut up. 100 million rank 9 star crystals, how dare you think? There weren't many rank 9 star crystals in a large mine, and you actually dare to ask for 100 million? Rumble. The power of the stars was vast, and the river water soared into the sky. The entire city shook. The nether dragon roared, and the stinky Yellow Spring hit the star array. Buildings collapsed, and the ground cracked. The group of star demon hurriedly moved away from the nether dragon. The two men from the celestial palace had already merged with heaven and earth and hid. They didn't use the golden crow treasure either. They let the nether dragon destroy the city and resist the star array. They didn't make a move. The star demon also hid far away. The nether dragon didn't care who you were, and it might attack you when it saw you. Jiang Chongkong didn't go out either. He was waiting for the nether dragon to find the corpse of the star-sacred warrior. It seems like they all want to be the Oriole, Feng Qixing said in a low voice. Liang Qiuxuani's expression was calm. The people from the Celestial Palace aren't idiots. If the commotion is too big, it will definitely attract the nearby star demon. The star demon also knows that there are people in the dark, but they won't give up this opportunity. We've searched the place many times, but we couldn't find the carcass. The abyss dragons are professionals, so there should be no problem this time, Jiang Chongkong said. Someone needs to deal with the abyss dragons or chase them away. Let's take a look first. I have a feeling that it is not so simple. Feng Qixing frowned and said, a place that can heavily injure the Star Dao is very dangerous. Jiang Chongkong and Liang Qiuxuani did not refute. What Feng Qixing said was the truth. Rumble. As the abyss dragon went berserk, the entire city shook even more violently. Jiang Chongkong looked at the abyss dragon. It did not attack the palace. Instead, it intentionally avoided it. It was attacking the ground near the palace. Could it be that the grave of the Star Saint martial artist was next to the palace? A large number of buildings collapsed, and the water of the yellow spring spread, almost occupying half of the city. Roar. The nether dragon roared. The stinky yellow spring corroded the star formation, and its huge dragon tail whipped the ground. Rumble. Crack. The star formation finally couldn't bear the burden anymore and cracked open. The ground began to crack. Boom. A beam of green light shot into the sky, illuminating the entire city. Roar. The powerful abyss dragon was also thrown out by the impact. It roared repeatedly at the green light. The yellow spring gathered and wrapped around the abyss dragon, corroding the surrounding star formation and star power. Buzz. The towering green light suddenly exploded and turned into rays of sword light. They radiated in all directions, covering the entire city. Moreover, Jiang Chongkong felt that a special Taoist rhyme had directly locked onto him, making it impossible for him to dodge. Boom! The green sword light shot out at an extremely fast speed, almost reaching him in an instant. Jiang Chongkong raised his palm. The Taoist rhyme of the force pattern flowed and met the sword light head-on. Clang! Crack! The fist and sword collided, tearing apart the terrifying defense. They drilled into Jiang Chongkong's arm and crushed his bones. The sword light was extremely powerful. One after another, Jiang Chongkong's expression changed. The Tai Chi celestial body manifested to deflect the force. Buzz. The sword light paused for a moment and its power weakened. However, it still pierced through Jiang Chongkong's body. Tens of thousands of swords pierced through his body. Even Jiang Chongkong found it hard to defend against the sword light that was imprinted with the Tao. Fortunately, the sword light was not endless. There was only one wave. He was still considered lucky. The bodies of the few star demons and the two people hidden in the dark exploded immediately. One or two star demon that had not comprehended the Tao were caught off guard. They were pierced through by the sword light and died. The abyss dragon hid in the yellow spring, but it still found it hard to defend against the sword light. A few of them pierced through its body. The Taoist rhyme in Jiang Chongkong's body circulated and shattered the sword light. Thank you, Lord Jiang. Liang Qiuxuani and Feng Qixing quickly said. If it wasn't for Jiang Chongkong blocking the sword light and protecting them behind him, they would have died from the sword light. It's fine. Fortunately, we're here and they're not focusing on us. Jiang Chongkong heaved a sigh of relief. Earlier, the sword light attacked from all directions. If it had focused on them, he was not confident of protecting them. Quickly consume it. Liang Qiuxuani took out a bottle of medicine and handed it to Jiang Chongkong. How do you have a tier 10 medicine? Feng Qixing said in shock. Isn't this Liang Qiuxuani too rich? Jiang Chongkong was also surprised. However, he did not say anything. After consuming the medicine, the huge amount of medicine spread to his limbs and bones. The special Taoist rhyme was cleared, and his injuries recovered quickly. A Tier 10 medicine could already clear the Taoist rhyme. I have many good things. In any case, they are from the Immortal Palace, Liang Qiushhuani said indifferently. He has fallen for so long, but the means he left behind are still so terrifying. As expected of a star sage. The two Immortal Palace cultivators recovered and consumed the medicine. Then, they looked at the place where the azure light was shining. There was a hole there. They did not know what was inside. After so many years, someone finally used the right method. The three-star demon looked at the hole greedily. The two people from the Immortal Palace frowned. Just as they were about to say something, something happened again. Roar! Splash! The abyss dragon roared. It stirred the yellow springs and wanted to rush into the hole. Evil creature, scram! The expressions of the two men from the Immortal Palace changed. They could not care about anything else. Two blazing sword lights slashed at the abyss dragon. The Taoist rhyme circulated and danger approached. The abyss dragon sensed it. It roared, and the yellow springs swept toward the two sword lights. Evil creature, that is not a place you can enter. The three-star demon also shouted angrily and rushed at the abyss dragon. They did not forget about Jiang Chongkong. The three of you over there. If you don't want the abyss dragon to destroy all the treasures, hurry up and attack. Hearing that, Feng Qixing said in a low voice, the abyss dragon will corrode the body. Some treasures will also be corroded. Jiang Chongkong waved his hand. The power of the sacred sun enveloped the two men, and they rushed toward the hole. Roar! Facing the attack, the abyss dragon roared, and the Yellow Springs River swept toward all the experts present. The dragon swung its tail, and the death chi was released. It also contained a special soul energy. This abyss dragon was a soul body. Rumble! Sword light, fists, and sharp claws clashed with the Yellow Springs and the abyss dragon. Terrifying power surged and shook the surroundings. Poochie! Blood splattered, and the three-star demon were sent flying. The two Immortal Palace cultivators also vomited blood. What a strong beast! Jiang Chongkong flew back with the two men. Although he did not vomit blood, he did not feel good either. The blood chi in his body surged. The abyss dragon's strength was actually not weaker than his. Black smoke rose from its body, and the power mark appeared to resist the corrosion of the Yellow Springs. Roar! The abyss dragon roared again. It actually ignored them and rushed toward the hole again. Scram! The two Immortal Palace cultivators shouted angrily. Their eyes shone with resplendent divine light, and a high temperature swept out. The abyss dragon seemed to think of something and stopped. The two Immortal Palace cultivators heaved a sigh of relief. Just as they were about to attack, the abyss dragon roared and rushed toward the hole. Chapter 358. Evil Creature. With an angry roar and a terrifyingly high temperature, the golden crow spread its wings. The two ethereal Immortal Palace cultivators were thoroughly enraged. They had only unleashed a trace of their strength, yet they had not been able to scare off the abyss dragon. At this crucial moment, they had no other choice but to release the golden crow's treasure. A 10th grade treasure. The golden crow floated in the air, flapping its wings. The three-star demon retreated and looked at the golden crow in shock. A 10th tier treasure? Star Dao level treasure, dense Dao aura, unfathomable power. Roar! The abyss dragon roared in unease. It no longer dared to charge into the pit and slowly retreated. Under the light of the golden crow, the stinking Yellow Spring sizzled and emitted thick black smoke. Since we've already taken it out, then everyone should be more tactful. This place belongs to our Immortal Palace. The two ethereal Immortal Palace cultivators showed proud expressions. Golden crows spread their wings above their heads, exuding a special might. A complete world treasure is indeed powerful, but it's not enough to make us retreat. The three-star demon sneered. 3 broken weapons appeared above their head. It was a broken sword that exuded a unique aura of the Tao. It shone with golden light and was incomparably sharp. Half a stone, as heavy as a mountain. It was the great Tao of earth. Half a spear, the aura of water, and the imprint of the great path were also not weak. The 3 damaged top-grade weapons all had remnant Tao auras. When they vibrated, even if they weren't as powerful as the Golden Crow, they still possessed great power. What about you? The 2 from the Celestial Palace looked at Jiang Chongkong. The 3-star demon also looked at him, waiting for his answer. As for the Abyss Dragon, they temporarily ignored it. It was just a beast, and when it was time to attack, they would naturally deal with it first. It all depends on your own ability, Jiang Chongkong said indifferently. He didn't want to stay in the Immortal Palace or the Star Demon. Then let's do it. The 2 warriors of the Immortal Palace shouted. The Golden Crow let out a long cry, and the power of the sun shone on the city. Wherever the sunlight passed, the scorching heat would be enough to roast an ordinary late-stage heavenly body realm cultivator. The 3-star demon wielded their incomplete weapons, and their attacks that contained Taoist rhymes descended at the same time. All the attacks were targeted at Jiang Chongkong and the Abyss Dragon. You guys have gone overboard. Jiang Chongkong didn't expect that these 2 parties would actually make a move against him first. Roar. The Abyss Dragon roared. It instinctively feared the Golden Crow, so it chose the 3-star demon. Looks like you also have spiritual intelligence. He did not know whether it was because Jiang Chongkong wanted to avoid danger or because the Abyss Dragon had great intelligence, but he chose to work together with him to fight against the enemy. Walala! The power of the Yellow Springs avoided Jiang Chongkong on its own, and didn't even harm the holy sun behind him. Seeing this, Jiang Chongkong was speechless and chose to face the Golden Crow head-on. Roar! Boundless blood chi surged, and a 3-zhang tall golden body appeared. The 8 power tattoos whistled in unison. Jiang Chongkong activated the Tao of Power Tattoos again and punched the Golden Crow. Idiot, you actually dared to use a 10th grade treasure to resist. The 2 cultivators from the ethereal Immortal Palace channeled the power of the sun and poured it into the Golden Crow. For a moment, the power of the sun flourished. The surrounding buildings were melting and the ground was disappearing. The power of the Golden Crow could burn the heavens and boil the seas. Screech! The Golden Crow let out a long cry, and its 3 flaming feet collided with the fist. First, the great Tao of power. First, the material was extraordinary and the Tao was rich. Clang! Jiang Chongkong's fist landed, and as if it had hit an indestructible iron wall, a rebounding force came. Crack! The sound of bones breaking rang out and golden blood spilled. The Golden Crow's 3 feet swept across, tearing open the wound. Great Tao of power? You're Jiang Chongkong? The 2 cultivators from the ethereal Immortal Palace finally remembered that he was a body cultivator. However, they were only surprised for a moment. You've comprehended the great Tao of power. Unfortunately, you're too stupid. We'll capture you today. A trace of excitement appeared on their faces, and they activated the power of the sun again to enhance the Golden Crow's ability. Jiang Chongkong's figure retreated continuously. As he retreated, the ground cracked, and the star array on the ground collapsed. A 10th grade treasure. As expected, it was not something that he could shake, could easily break through his defense. Although he had comprehended the great Tao of power, the Golden Crow's great Tao mark was higher than his. Jiang Chongkong? How dare you come to the depths of the Void Realm? We'll kill you then, the 3-star demon said coldly. Don't worry, you 3. Focus on dealing with the Abyss Dragon. The 2 from the ethereal Immortal Palace sneered. Jiang Chongkong was an important research material for the ethereal Immortal Palace. If he hid in his territory, the ethereal Immortal Palace would not be able to do anything. However, he had taken the initiative to come to the depths of the Void Realm, and they even encountered him. It was a godsend opportunity. Screech! The Golden Crow spread its wings again, and its power increased again as it swooped down. Jiang Chongkong still threw a punch, the great Tao of power. Boom! After another collision, Jiang Chongkong was directly sent flying. His body cracked open and blood flowed out. The golden crow stood proudly in the void, looking disdainfully in all directions. The terrifying golden light was enough to melt everything. Kill! With a cold cry, the golden crow swooped down, and its 3 feet shone with golden light. Roar! The abyss dragon roared, and the water of the yellow springs swept toward the golden crow. Its wings flapped, and the fire of the sun dissipated, evaporating the water of the yellow springs. Evil creature, you still want to save us? The 3-star demon shouted coldly, and their power increased to the limit. It seems that you really have spiritual intelligence, but this golden crow is not bad. It can suppress my great Tao of power. Jiang Chongkong glanced at the abyss dragon. Its injuries were still there. This time, half of its body disappeared, and the black and white Tai Chi appeared. Tai Chi returned to 1. The great Tao of power, the God-reigning spell, and the Tai Chi star power complemented each other. The power of the sun swept over, and was absorbed by the Tai Chi diagram. Boom! The Tai Chi returned to 1 fell, and the power of the sun shattered. The vast power all fell on the golden crow. Boom! The golden crow directly rolled out and smashed heavily on the ground. The terrifying flames melted half of the city, and the pit expanded. Your strength, the expressions of the 2 from the ethereal immortal palace changed. The strength of Jiang Chongkong of the 3 major planets was far beyond their imagination. They were holding 10th grade treasures. Even if they could not unleash their full power, under normal circumstances, they could still sweep away anyone below the top grade. However, Jiang Chongkong did not use any weapons. He only used the 3 major planets to send the golden crow flying. Just as Jiang Chongkong was about to make a move, the holy sun trembled. Feng Qixing's voice sounded. Chongkong, listen to me. Let's go. Jiang Chongkong paused and flashed to the holy sun's side. A voice transmission sounded in his ear. Retreat first. If something unexpected happens, we won't be able to stop it. His expression changed as he looked at the expanding crater. Abyss dragon, come here. He struck out with his palm, enveloping the 3-star demon at the same time. The abyss dragon was stunned, but it was forcibly dragged out of the city by Jiang Chongkong. The move just now must have exhausted his strength. He is trying to escape. Chase him. The 2 from the ethereal immortal palace shouted coldly and controlled the golden crow again. The 3-star demon shouted in a deep voice. The 3 damaged weapons released the might of the great Tao. Rumble! Suddenly, a loud sound rang out. Azure light soared into the sky. 2 arms stretched out of the melting pit, grabbed the golden crow, and pulled. Boom! The golden crow exploded. A horrifying force swept out in all directions. A tyrannical might of the great Tao enveloped the entire place. Jiang Chongkong's body felt heavy as if he was carrying a huge mountain on his back. He turned his head to look and exclaimed, "What is that? Is it a zombie? We'll talk about it after we get out. We can't afford to offend this thing for now." Feng Qixing's face was pale. He could not hide the horror in his eyes. Not to mention an inferior 10th grade treasure, even a peak 10th grade treasure could tear it apart. Chapter 359. What was this? Robbing a tomb and finding a super big dumpling? It could even tear a peak 10th rank creature apart. Wasn't the depths of the void too dangerous? Jiang Chongkong didn't want to die. He used all his strength and ran forward. The water of the yellow springs drowned them and instantly rushed underground. The next moment they were already deep underground. There was soil all around them. The netherworld dragon coiled its body and looked down at them. "Thank you." Jiang Chongkong heaved a sigh of relief and cupped his hands at the netherworld dragon. The netherworld dragon nodded slightly and expanded the underground space. Liang Qiushhuani said in surprise, This netherworld dragon's intelligence isn't low. She only knew some information from the information she read in the Immortal Palace. She didn't expect the netherworld dragon to have intelligence. The netherworld dragon glared at her, and a human-like dissatisfaction flashed in its eyes. In the interstellar era, the netherworld dragon belonged to the Yellow Springs race and guarded the Death Star. Feng Qixing said, in an even more ancient era, the Yellow Springs race was once an extremely powerful race, but it declined for some reason. There are no records of the Yellow Springs race in the information on Earth. This netherworld dragon should have been born in the Void Realm by chance. Hearing Feng Qixing's words, the netherworld dragon nodded, indicating that he was right. It's already so strong, but it still doesn't know how to speak? Jiang Chongkong asked curiously. No one taught it. It has been in the Yellow Springs since it was born. There are no living creatures and its body is filled with death qi. Feng Qixing pondered and said, if you want to communicate with it, you can use your soul power. You have the soul stabilizing tree to protect your soul, so you won't be affected by the death qi. There's no hurry. Tell me what happened just now. Did it come back to life? Jiang Chongkong asked. He had seen zombies before. The pile of zombies in the battle palace could all come back to life. However, this one didn't recognize people. It was not right to dig up graves and rob them. It's not a zombie. It's a guardian puppet. Feng Qixing explained, in the interstellar era, there are not only mechas but also puppets. Some people used top-grade materials to refine puppets and used star formations to drive them. They have great Dao imprints and their combat power isn't inferior to martial artists. Is that a Star Saint-grade puppet? Jiang Chongkong asked in surprise. Right back then, the creation of puppets had already developed to a peak, and there had been puppets that approached the divine level. Feng Qixing said solemnly, that kind of puppet can shatter stars and tear the starry sky apart. I am now certain that you are not an earthling, Liangqiu Xuani said calmly. Feng Qixing said, you can't say that. I grew up in the Void Realm and can be considered a member of Earth. That puppet from earlier should be inferior grade 11. After so many years, it shouldn't have much energy left. It won't be able to last much longer. How long will it take for us to get up there? Asked Jiang Chongkong. Feng Qixing muttered, let's wait another quarter of an hour. I exaggerated a little just now to let you understand how dangerous this is. Let me make a bold guess. That puppet's combat strength should only be at the mid-stage of the star path. Only this much power left? Jiang Chongkong was stunned. The difference between the early stage of the Star Saint realm and the middle stage of the Star Doctrine realm was huge. If it's any stronger, we definitely won't be able to escape. Feng Qixing shook his head and said, that golden crow wasn't torn apart but directly shattered. Jiang Chongkong nodded and looked at the Abyss Dragon. You guys watch the time. I'll have a chat with the Abyss Dragon. The soul governing art spread out and his soul power came into contact with the Abyss Dragon. Roar. The Abyss Dragon roared in a low voice. Soul waves appeared on its body and it transmitted a message, human. Cooperation. Even if it was a soul communication, it was a little difficult to communicate. Jiang Chongkong thought about it and said, cooperation is fine. What do you want and what can I get? The Abyss Dragon said, me, the corpse. Only the corpse? Yes. All right, then it's settled. Jiang Chongkong agreed. After thinking about it, he still felt that he shouldn't attack the Abyss Dragon. Putting aside the fact that it was a rare species, it was a professional grave robber. If there were any tombs in the future, he might be able to ask it for help. Who wouldn't want a partner that only wanted the corpse and no other treasures? The two sides reached an agreement. Jiang Chongkong pointed and taught it the star language he knew. Chatting like this was too tiring. Once it learned the star language, it would be able to communicate normally. How was the conversation? Feng Qixing asked. Cooperation is done. It only wants the corpse. The rest is ours, Jiang Changkong said. Feng Qixing looked at the abyss dragon and said thoughtfully, the Star Saint's corpse, even if there isn't much Tao left, is still very terrifying. With this corpse, the abyss dragon will probably step into the top level. The abyss dragon was arranging the star language. Hearing this, it looked at him with caution. Stepping into the top level is a good thing. The abyss dragon is a professional in finding corpses. We can cooperate more in the future, Jiang Changkong said. The abyss dragon nodded, indicating that they could cooperate more. Feng Qixing shut up. He was just reminding Jiang Changkong. As for whether Jiang Changkong would listen or not, that was his own business. He hoped that the abyss dragon wouldn't turn against him after obtaining the corpse and stepping into the top level. It's a pity that it only looks like a flood dragon. Jiang Changkong looked at the abyss dragon and asked, will it grow dragon horns after stepping into the top level? It should. Feng Qixing rubbed his chin. I'm not too sure. There are too few records about the abyss dragon. The abyss dragon ignored them and continued to arrange the star language in its mind. Jiang Changkong started to treat his injuries. He was injured by the golden crow just now. Liang Qiuxuani was very generous. She took out another bottle of medicine and gave it to him. Jiang Changkong drank the medicine and his injuries recovered quickly. 15 minutes passed quickly. 3 people and 1 dragon left the underground and returned to the city. The city had already been razed to the ground. Not even a single piece of rock was left. Everything had disappeared without a trace. There were only cracks on the ground and a few huge craters. It's really amazing. We got a bargain for free. Jiang Changkong led them forward. Roar. The abyss dragon suddenly roared and looked at a black hole. The water of the yellow springs surged into it. It's still alive? Jiang Changkong narrowed his eyes. There was still an aura of life in that crater. Jiang Changkong, you ran really fast. Cold laughter rang out. The 2 ethereal palace cultivators climbed out of the crater. A middle-aged man stood beside them. The middle-aged man had no aura of life. That was a puppet. You can actually subdue a puppet? Feng Qixing exclaimed in shock, his expression changing drastically. How can you understand the methods of the ethereal palace? The 2 cultivators smiled coldly and patted the puppet beside them. Immediately, the puppet released the power of the solar star. This is the energy source of that golden crow treasure? Feng Qixing's eyes flickered. He said in understanding, I was wondering. So, you managed to survive until the puppet ran out of energy and replaced its energy source. This is enough to kill you all, the 2 ethereal palace cultivators said coldly. Boom. The puppet took a step forward. The ground cracked and the solar flame spread out again. However, there was a trace of Tao on its body that faintly resisted the solar star's power. Its might was slightly stronger than the golden crow from before. However, there was a limit. Lord Jiang, you and the abyss dragon don't clash head-on with it. Just stall for time. Feng Qixing slowly drew his sword. I'll kill these 2. You underestimate this Jiang too much. You 2 rest. Chapter 360. Facing the puppet, Jiang Changkong showed no fear. If it was before, he would run as far as he could. But now, he could not use the power of the sun to drive the wind element puppet for long. Moreover, it was not very powerful. With the 3 astral bodies activated, Jiang Changkong's attack was Tai Chi unification. The power pattern was the main, the soul was supplementary, and Tai Chi was inclusive. The 3 types of star power complemented each other. Rumble. A palm landed and a majestic power bombarded the puppet. The puppet flew out and crashed into the 2 people. Poochie. Blood sprayed, and the bodies of the 2 immortal palace martial artists cracked. They looked terrified. How do you still have such strong power? It seems that the 2 of you have not been in the immortal palace for a long time. Jiang Changkong struck again. I, Jiang Changkong, am famous for my deep foundation. The 2 immortal palace martial artists. We know that you have a deep foundation, but isn't this too deep? Feng Qixing opened his mouth, looked at his sword, and put it back. The underworld dragon was very glad that it chose to cooperate with Jiang Chongkong. Although it was strong, it was not enough to fight Jiang Chongkong. Palm strike after palm strike, Jiang Chongkong felt bored and directly killed two ethereal immortal palace cultivators. Without the two people controlling it, the puppet stopped moving, and all its power disappeared. How do I extract this sun energy? I want to comprehend it, Jiang Chongkong said. Leave it to me. Feng Qixing came to the side of the puppet, searched around, and took out a fist-sized stone that gave off a strong flame. The stone carried the great Tao of the sun, which was far stronger than Jiang Chongkong's power pattern and the great Tao of the moon. After taking the stone, he searched in their spatial equipment. There were many rank 9-star crystals, but there were no rank 8-star crystals. Then, there were healing potions and some ores. There were no weapons. After comprehending the great Tao of the stars, ordinary weapons were not suitable. He kicked the corpse to the underworld dragon, which happily swallowed it. Only then did Jiang Chongkong enter the pit to search for Star Sage's corpse. There was a space under the pit, and a bluestone coffin was placed in the center. The entire space was covered by a giant star array, and there was still a trace of Tao aura remaining. After the abyss dragon entered, it went straight to the limestone coffin, but it did not move. It looked at Jiang Chongkong. After witnessing Jiang Chongkong's strength, it was very obedient and did not dare to act recklessly. Jiang Chongkong came to the bluestone coffin, pressed his star power on it, and activated the star formation. When Shao Chun exerted his force, the astral formation shattered. Without the protection of the astral formation, the limestone coffin was easily pushed open. It was the corpse of a middle-aged man. His complexion was ruddy, and he looked just like a living person as he laid there quietly. In the middle-aged man's hand was a green bead. Feng Qixing anxiously looked at it. This should be his inheritance. You want it? Jiang Chongkong looked at Feng Qixing. Feng Qixing nodded. Yes. This was the Star Saint's inheritance, second only to the true gods. Cloud Sky Secret Canon, the subsequent content, Jiang Chongkong said calmly. I only know the Star Tao canon, but I don't know the rest. This was originally incomplete. After Feng Qixing finished speaking, he carefully looked at Qin Wentian. Look, is it okay? Jiang Chongkong thought for a moment and threw the bead to him. I'll let you have it this time. After saying that, he carried the corpse out. He was very unhappy that he couldn't find any spatial equipment. There are actually no treasures. Jiang Chongkong was somewhat disappointed. Of course not. Treasures are usually left for the living to use. They would only leave an inheritance in the coffin. If the inheritance of the clan is missing in the future, we can open the library to search for it. Feng Qixing explained, but don't you like star crystals? There must be some underground. Are you sure? Jiang Chongkong's heart stirred. The god-controlling art entered the ground. There were indeed many star crystals of good quality, and there were even some at the 10th level. In the interstellar era, the corpses of clans would usually be buried together. The others wouldn't have the same treatment as the Star Saint. They could protect the corpses, and after countless years, the energy of the corpses would dissipate or solidify into star crystals. Feng Qixing explained. Jiang Chongkong nodded. Digging is a troublesome matter. Let's hurry up. The underworld dragon glanced at him and directly entered the ground. Rumble. The earth trembled and the soil was overturned. A piece of star crystal was laid on the ground. You have this ability? Jiang Chongkong asked in surprise. This was a little mining expert. I'm used to being underground. The underworld dragon opened its mouth and spoke in a somewhat stiff manner. Wherever the Yellow Springs passes, it will turn into the soil of the underworld. The underworld dragon has the ability to control the soil of the underworld. It's just that before the power of the Yellow Springs dissipates, no living things will be able to grow here. Feng Qixing explained. Jiang Changkong nodded. It was a pity. He still needed to plant medicinal herbs in his territory. It wasn't suitable to let the underworld dragon explore the land. I can't handle these star crystals. Jiang Changkong kept the star crystals. Many of them were at the 7th level. Jiang Changkong was very generous. He tossed a small portion of the 7th level star crystal to Liang Qiushhuani. He would treat it as the money for 2 bottles of 10th level potions. The underworld dragon directly swallowed the corpse and growled, "Let's go." After getting their share of the harvest, Jiang Changkong didn't want to stay any longer. He left with them. The 3 people and 1 dragon left this place. The underworld dragon opened its mouth, and a grayish-yellow bead flew towards Jiang Changkong. "Look for me if you want to cooperate." "Okay." Jiang Changkong agreed. He watched as the underworld dragon left on the yellow springs. This underworld dragon will be an ally in the future. Jiang Changkong chuckled. It was good to be an ally with a dragon, even though this dragon was a little weak. "Where are we going now?" Liang Qiushhuani asked. "The treasure trove or the Immortal Palace's stronghold?" Jiang Changkong pondered. "Let's go to the treasure trove first. Let's not go to the Immortal Palace's stronghold for now." After seeing the 10th level treasure, Jiang Changkong felt that he should increase his strength before going to the Immortal Palace's stronghold. Most importantly, he wanted to see if there was a soul-searching technique in the inheritance of the Immortal Palace. If there was a soul-searching technique, then he could go to the Immortal Palace's stronghold and search the soul for any information he wanted. He sensed the soul star rune and used it with the soul stabilizing tree. A special feeling came over and guided him forward. "Let's go." Jiang Changkong brought them along, merged with heaven and earth, and disappeared from this place. An hour later, Jiang Changkong appeared. He closed his eyes and sensed again. He found the right direction and continued forward. With Jiang Changkong's strength, he might not be able to do as he pleased here. At the very least, if he hid, unless he was a peak cultivator or had special means, no one would be able to discover him. Feng Qixing was indeed familiar with this place. He could tell the place clearly every time they went. As they hurried on, Liang Qiushhuani became more and more confused. She already had no idea where she was. A few days later, Jiang Changkong stopped. A look of joy appeared on his face. The treasure trove was nearby. "Lord Jiang, why don't we not go ahead?" Feng Qixing suddenly said. "What's wrong?" "The treasure trove is over there. Could it be that your home is there?" Jiang Changkong asked. "That is the star demon's territory. A few peak star demons have laid a 10th level killing formation. Once we are discovered, we will be in big trouble," Feng Qixing said with a grave expression. "The treasure trove is over there. It's fine. A 10th level killing formation is nothing without a great Tao imprint," Jiang Changkong said confidently. Only after comprehending the Star Great Tao did he know how terrifying the Star Great Tao was. Chapter 361. Feng Qixing said, "Those star demon have also comprehended the Star Great Tao. That's fine. Don't worry, I'll be careful." Jiang Changkong merged with heaven and earth and brought them inside. The star demon's territory was deep in the mountains, and there were star formation patterns everywhere. Jiang Changkong followed his senses and was shocked to discover that the treasure was actually at the bottom of the mountain. This group of star demons actually set up a formation on a treasure that was close to divine level. And clan, they were really ambitious. Feng Qixing's expression was ugly. "Don't tell me that the treasure is in the mountain?" "It's under the mountain," Jiang Changkong pondered. "I'm wondering if I should get rid of the star demon first or enter the treasure. If I get rid of the star demon first, I'm afraid it will cause a huge commotion and attract more experts," Liang Qiushhuani analyzed. "In that case, it will be more difficult to enter the treasure. If we can sneak in, let's do it," Feng Qixing said after a moment of silence. "Once we make a move, My family will discover you. Is your home really nearby? Jiang Chongkong was slightly surprised. Feng Qixing hesitated for a moment before nodding. Sort of. Didn't you want me to go home with you? Jiang Chongkong was puzzled. Now that we're near your home, you don't want me to be exposed? Because there are other forces apart from my family, Liang Qiushhuani said calmly. Liang Qiushhuani said calmly, you and your clan don't want other powers to know that Long Sky is here. Feng Qixing sighed. That's right. My family's methods can be considered gentle. I've never thought of taking your life, but I can't be sure about others. There are quite a number of star remnant beings. Jiang Chongkong's eyes narrowed slightly as he silently led them into the ground. The soul-stabilizing tree shook, and the soul star runes vibrated violently as if they were cheering. There was nothing unusual in the depths of the ground. Feng Qixing and Liang Qiushhuani didn't see anything strange. The soul-stabilizing tree's roots spread out and went deep into the ground. Jiang Chongkong followed the roots of the soul-stabilizing tree. Half an hour later, a faint soul energy fluctuation spread out. Next, the three of them felt their vision blur, and they found themselves in a world of darkness. A door stood in the dark space, tightly shut. There were countless veined patterns on the door, emitting faint soul fluctuations. This is the near-divine treasure? A trace of excitement appeared on Liang Qiushhuani's calm face. Feng Qixing couldn't help but say, near-divine treasures. I've only heard of them before, but this is my first time here. I can only say that you, a remnant of the universe, are really miserable. Jiang Chongkong said disdainfully. Don't call me that. I'm really a part of Earth. Feng Qixing didn't like this title at all. He said, do you really think it's that easy to find treasures close to gods? Jiang Chongkong said lightly, even a god can't find it? The current near god can't be compared to the past. Feng Qixing shook his head and said, many martial skills and secret techniques have been lost. Even a near god can't find these treasures. I've never seen a near god before, so I can't be sure. However, we are indeed far inferior to those old monsters. As Jiang Chongkong spoke, he stretched out his right hand. The roots of the soul-stabilizing tree covered his palm. He placed his hand on the door, and the roots rapidly spread out, following the veined patterns on the door. In less than a few breaths, the roots of the soul-stabilizing tree covered the entire door. Buzz! The door trembled and slowly opened, revealing a dark space. Let's go. Jiang Chongkong led the two into the door. Inside the door was still a dark space, a boundless darkness. Another maze? Liang Qiushhuani said softly. No. Jiang Chongkong pointed at his feet. You'll know when you see it. Liang Qiushhuani lowered her head. In the darkness, there was a stone path under her feet. Let's go. Jiang Chongkong led them forward on the stone path. The stone path was only 2 meters wide, with empty space on both sides. No one knew where they would end up if they were to fall into it. As they stepped on the stone path, a strong soul Tao lingered in the air, and a pressure came from their souls. Jiang Chongkong did not feel anything with the protection of the soul-stabilizing tree. Liang Qiushhuani and Feng Qixing were startled. Their 7 orifices were bleeding, and their expressions twisted. Jiang Chongkong frowned. The soul-stabilizing tree rose above his head and shone brightly. The pressure on the two immediately disappeared. Rumble! The door behind them began to tremble, and a powerful force soared into the sky. Damn it, why is there a commotion? Jiang Chongkong frowned. He was afraid that the star demon would be alerted. As expected of a near god's treasure. Even after so many years, the seal of the great Tao is still so strong. Feng Qixing panted heavily. He used his star force to get rid of the bloodstains. A near god's treasure is indeed not something that ordinary people can get their hands on. If it wasn't for the soul-stabilizing tree, I would be dead by now. Liang Qiushhuani spoke with lingering fear in her heart. The soul pressure here was simply too terrifying. She was only at the early stage star embryo realm, and there was no way she could resist it. Jiang Changkong led them into the depths of the ancient path. The star rune on his forehead gradually grew hotter, as though it wanted to leave his body and fly into the depths. After walking for an hour, the three of them finally arrived at the end of the stone path. A flight of stairs extended into the darkness ahead. It was unknown what was hidden in the boundless darkness. The three of them stepped on the stairs, and an increasingly dense Tao rune gushed over. On the stairs, rays of gray light flashed as they climbed rapidly. "What the hell is this?" Liang Qiuxuani's expression changed slightly. On the stairs, densely packed gray lights the size of fingernails were crawling rapidly. Soul worms feed on souls. They are the favorite pets of soul cultivators in the interstellar era. Feng Qiqi's scalp turned numb, and he said in horror, "Be careful not to step on them. These worms are very hard to kill. They can parasitize souls and eat living beings until they become empty shells. Even the soul-stabilizing tree can't chase them away?" Liang Qiuxuani's face turned pale. "Now you know fear?" Jiang Changkong glanced at her. "It's good to have more expressions. You don't look good at all." "You still have the mood to joke at a time like this," Liang Qiuxuani said angrily. "The soul-stabilizing tree can guarantee that we won't disturb each other as long as we don't step on them," Jiang Changkong said calmly. Feng Qiqi said in a deep voice, "Then let's fly up. We can't step on them anymore." "Lift your head up yourself," Jiang Changkong said calmly. Feng Qiqi slowly lifted his head, and his body stiffened. Every inch of his head was filled with soul worms. If he flew up, wouldn't he be eaten clean by the soul worms? "What should we do now?" Liang Qiuxuani grabbed his arm tightly, feeling extremely nervous. Jiang Changkong fell silent for a moment. "Let's hope it's still useful." The 6-story palace was taken out, and a special Tao rune of the soul spread out. Moreover, the more it spread out, the lesser it became. The surrounding soul worms seemed to have met their nemesis, and they frantically retreated. "Why didn't you take it out earlier?" The two of them heaved a sigh of relief. "Let's hurry up and leave. I'm not sure how long this thing can be used." Jiang Changkong shook his head. This 6-story palace didn't have much Tao rune left. If it continued to dissipate, it was unknown if it could last until they obtained the treasures. This was also the reason why he didn't take it out immediately. Chapter 362. As the three of them walked on the stairs, the soul worms sensed the Taoist aura and quickly pushed them away. "These Tao marks are dissipating on their own? But I'm afraid they won't last long if they do that." Feng Qixing's expression turned serious. With his eyesight, he could tell that there weren't many Tao marks left. Once all the Tao marks dissipated, the soul worms would no longer give way to them. As Jiang Changkong moved forward, he paid attention to the soul worms around him. The soul-stabilizing tree can't disperse them either. "Do you have any other way?" Apart from capturing the Worm King, only soul martial artists have a special secret technique to be unafraid of the soul worms. Feng Qixing pondered. "Do you know this secret technique?" Jiang Changkong shook his head. "Let's look for the Worm King as we walk." "Do you know how to capture it?" If he knew any secret techniques, he wouldn't have come looking for treasures. Feng Qixing remained silent. "Why don't we retreat first?" Jiang Changkong frowned. They didn't know where the stairs ended. If they continued walking like this, they might be surrounded by the soul worms. "We can't walk anymore," Liang Qiuxuani sighed. "Look behind us." The two of them looked back. Unknowingly, the stairs behind them had disappeared. There was no way out. The three of them could only continue moving forward. With the soul-stabilizing tree, even if the Taoist aura was exhausted, it could still protect them. Jiang Changkong's soul power fluctuated in the surrounding space. Because of the soul-stabilizing tree, the soul worms didn't make things difficult for him. That said, the void was also filled with profound spirit formations. It was impossible for him to leave this place with the help of the heavens and earth. The mysterious star formation was hidden in the void. The stairs under their feet had endless Taoist aura. Without the soul-stabilizing tree, they probably wouldn't be able to take a step forward. The stairs seemed to have no end. After walking for half an hour, they still couldn't see the end. The Taoist aura of the 6-story palace was decreasing. The soul worms were still densely packed, and they were all the same size. They couldn't tell which one was the Worm King. Let's stop first. Jiang Chongkong put away the 6-story palace. They couldn't disperse like this anymore. The soul-stabilizing tree swayed. Its branches and roots enveloped the three of them, coexisting peacefully with the soul worms. Feng Qixing whispered, "Why don't you give it a try and see if you can comprehend the star formation and Tao charm here? I don't know if it will succeed, and I don't know how long it will take." Jiang Chongkong frowned. "This is the only way. We can't afford to wait," Liang Qiuxuani said. Jiang Chongkong no longer hesitated. The soul-stabilizing tree released a gray light that fluctuated in the void. His soul power merged with the void to comprehend the star formation. A portion of his soul power entered the stairs beneath his feet to comprehend the star runes. Jiang Chongkong's soul power appeared in his soul perception, one profound path after another. The majestic soul Taoist rhyme was like an unshakable mountain. Jiang Chongkong's soul force was as weak as a candle compared to these Tao auras. Compared to the 10th stage Golden Crow and the 11th stage Puppet, this Tao aura was many times more terrifying. His feeble soul energy flowed along the star array, not daring to move recklessly. In the outside world, countless soul worms crawled out from the hidden stairs in the thick black fog. The densely packed soul worms made one's hair stand on end. Even with the protection of the soul-stabilizing tree, facing so many worms was still horrifying. The Tao charm of the stairs became denser and denser, attracting the soul worms. Ah! A shrill scream was heard, and the two turned around. The stairs that should have disappeared appeared once again. However, it was a faint shadow of a beast that was being eaten by countless soul worms. Star Demon. Feng Qixing's expression was solemn. The Star Demon was here. The vibration of the door must have alarmed them. However, without the protection of the soul-stabilizing tree, the Star Demon became a feast. Its body was intact, without the slightest injury, but its soul was eaten clean. Jiang Chongkong was also alarmed, but he didn't wake up and continued to comprehend. With the soul-stabilizing tree, the soul worms here were the best defense, and no one could enter. Coupled with the Tao aura here, even if a star path martial artist came here, there would only be death. Jiang Chongkong recorded all the routes that the Imperial Spirit Art star power passed through. However, he was surprised that this star array seemed to be in the shape of a human. The star array was connected to the stairs deep into the void, and these soul worms had always been on the star array. This can't be. Jiang Chongkong opened his eyes and looked at his feet with a strange expression. "What's wrong?" The two quickly asked. "Did you comprehend it? What we are stepping on might be a top soul martial artist." Jiang Chongkong pointed at the stairs under his feet. "The two? Are you kidding me? Refining a top soul martial artist into a staircase? Soul worms like to parasitize the soul, and soul martial artists can control and carry the soul worms." Jiang Chongkong muttered, "What I'm looking for should be a soul astral body star array that can contain these soul worms. Can you change this star array? It shouldn't be a top soul martial artist, but the quality of the stairs is high." Feng Qixing shook his head. He couldn't believe that a top soul martial artist would be used to forge a staircase. Forget about changing it, the soul imprint here is more terrifying than the Golden Crow. Jiang Chongkong frowned. "Let me see if there are any omissions, or learn this star array." As he comprehended it again, the soul imprint on his forehead vibrated more and more intensely. Will this star rune be useful? Jiang Chongkong pondered and activated the star rune. The star rune vibrated, and the void soul array was directly manifested. Rumble! The stairs under his feet vibrated, and the surroundings began to change. The stairs extended in all directions, and the black mist in front of them began to dissipate. It's really a human? Feng Qixing and Liangqiu Xuani exclaimed in shock. In front of them, the darkness dissipated, and a huge head appeared. The stairs had already dissipated, and they were standing on the palm of an arm. Is this person 10,000 feet tall? Feng Qixing said in surprise. Even a star Dao martial artist can't be so huge. Could it be a celestial sage or even a deity? Liangqiu Xuani guessed. I'm not sure, but this person isn't 10,000 feet tall. We're the ones who have shrunk. The soul imprint on Jiang Changkong's forehead manifested, unleashing a dense Dao aura. Feng Qixing asked, Have you found a way? Yes, but there's a high chance that it will fail, Jiang Changkong said with a frown. Liangqiu Xuani urged, Tell us, what is it? We don't want to stay here forever. If we accept this person's Dao imprint, the soul worms won't attack us, but they will crawl all over our bodies. It's fine even if we stomp them to death. However, we will also have to endure the suppression of the soul Dao. I'm confident, but I'm not sure if you guys can endure it. Jiang Changkong looked at Liangqiu Xuani. Especially you, Miss Xuani. You're the weakest. Then I'll have to trouble Changkong to help me take the medicine before my soul energy is destroyed, Liangqiu Xuani said as she took out 2 bottles of medicine. Give me a few bottles. I'm sorry, I only have 2 bottles. I might not even have enough for myself. Chapter 363. The soul-stabilizing tree extended its branches and touched the star formation. His soul energy rippled and came into contact with a Taoist seal. Instantly, it was as if his soul was being torn apart by a sharp blade. Jiang Changkong's expression was calm as he directed a Taoist seal onto Feng Qixing's body. Pay attention. Don't worry, seeing how relaxed you are, I will definitely. Blood splattered everywhere, and blood seeped out of his 7 apertures. His complexion was deathly pale, and he looked like a malicious spirit. Feng Qixing's aura instantly weakened by more than half. How did you hide it so well? This was completely cutting at the soul. Hurry up and go. Remember, go to that head. Jiang Changkong gave him a push. Once again, he touched a strand of the great Dao imprint and poured it into Liangqiu Xuani's body. Liangqiu Xuani's expression sank, and she quickly walked forward. Jiang Changkong was slightly startled. At some point, Liangqiu Xuani was holding a jade pendant in her hand. The pendant was emitting a gray glow with a dense Dao presence. A top-grade soul treasure. However, not long after, the 2 of them were covered with soul worms. With a smile, Jiang Changkong once again came into contact with a wisp of the Great Path imprint, and it stained his body. The soul-stabilizing tree swayed and was about to clear it, but it was stopped by Jiang Changkong. If the soul-stabilizing tree was destroyed, he wouldn't be able to walk up. If so many soul worms were to be enraged, he could not guarantee that the soul-anchoring tree would be able to withstand it. With the imprint of the Great Path of the Soul, Jiang Changkong walked quickly and directly stepped on a bunch of soul worms. The soul-stabilizing tree swayed, and with the 2 working together, no soul worm crawled onto his body. This made him heave a sigh of relief. A pile of worms, just thinking about it made him feel disgusted. In the blink of an eye, he had caught up to Feng Qixing and Liangqiu Xuani. As she was protected by a treasure, Liangqiu Xuani's speed was much faster than Feng Qixing's. Jiang Changkong thought about the 2 bottles of medicine in his hands. It was very likely that Liangqiu Xuani had prepared them for him. 15 minutes later, Jiang Changkong was the first to arrive at the giant head. The giant head's mouth was wide open, emitting dense soul energy. An altar that emanated traces of Taoist aura stood in his mouth. Near divine treasure. Jiang Changkong glanced at the 2 of them. There shouldn't be much danger, so he walked in. There wasn't even a single soul worm in the giant mouth. There was nothing on the altar. The soul-stabilizing tree left Jiang Changkong and took root on the altar. Ka-ka. The altar trembled. Its surface split open, revealing a hidden compartment and a gray sphere. Near God's inheritance? Jiang Chongkong held the gray ball in his hand, and a thick gray light flashed. A middle-aged man in black clothes appeared directly in his stargate. His soul body, which had suffered some injuries due to the imprint of the great Tao, suddenly stood up and looked at the black-robed figure warily. A person close to God? It was exactly the same as the middle-aged man whom Zhang Xian had seen when he obtained the soul-stabilizing tree. 7 great stars, the great Tao of power, the great Tao of extreme yin. The middle-aged man ignored him and looked at Yi Futian's 7 stars. A satisfied expression appeared on his face. Ultimate combat body, you still lack the great path of the sun. How did you survive? Jiang Chongkong was shocked. This was actually a living person. This was a person close to God and the owner of the soul-stabilizing tree. What if this guy wanted to take over his body? He probably wouldn't be able to withstand it. The middle-aged man's gaze fell on the tyrant blade of stars, then on the Tai Chi star. Yin-Yang Tai Chi, tyrant blade, just right. What's good about it? Jiang Chongkong's expression turned cold. If he really wanted to fight, he might be confident. After all, this was just a remnant soul, and this was his home ground. Even if the soul-stabilizing tree used to belong to the middle-aged man, it was his treasure now. Back then, I didn't go to the Sun Divine Palace and didn't have much contact with Yun Tian. However, this tyrant blade is an old friend of mine who was proficient in this Tao. The middle-aged man didn't seem to notice Yi Futian's coldness and continued, I'll pass it on to you. After you go out, cultivate hard and reach the near God level as soon as possible. Pass it on to me? Jiang Chongkong was slightly stunned. He could get 2 parts of a near God's inheritance? As for why I'm alive, do you want this thing? A fingernail-sized golden object appeared in the middle-aged man's palm. It didn't look like a stone or the bone of a living being. He had never seen it before. Essence, Qi, and Spirit, 1000000, unable to be extracted. 1,000,000 Essence, Qi, and Spirit? 1,000 Star Daos, 10,000 Star Sages. A near-God inferior-grade star crystal only had 100,000 Essence, Qi, and Spirit. This thing was only the size of a fingernail. 1,000,000? An immortal-level treasure that surpassed near God. Was this the immortal fortuitous opportunity that they pursued? I want it, Jiang Chongkong said without hesitation. You're undying because of this thing? When you comprehend the great Tao of Sun and step into the Star Tao, I'll tell you where this thing came from. The middle-aged man said calmly, and it's inexhaustible. Jiang Chongkong. It was so troublesome to step into the Star Tao. If you gave me more of this thing, I could easily step into the Star Tao. Why don't you give me 10 million first? Jiang Chongkong probed. The middle-aged man was stunned. He didn't expect Jiang Chongkong to say that. I'm counting on this thing to live. That's all. The middle-aged man took a deep breath and said, Your 2 companions are coming. I'll give you the inheritance now. Don't say that you've seen me. He pointed with his finger, and a large amount of information surged into Jiang Chongkong's mind. It was completely squeezed in. Apart from the soul treasure that he wanted, there was also the Overlord Blade inheritance. After doing all this, the middle-aged man's figure dissipated, and the golden object disappeared. The gray ball in Jiang Chongkong's hand left his palm and returned to the sacrificial altar. The soul-stabilizing tree returned to his body, and the wounds on his soul had already healed. The star character on his glabella changed slightly, and a piece of information was fed back. Like the power pattern, it could speed up the condensation of the soul astral body and speed up the cultivation of the soul Tao to the near-God realm. Chongkong. Feng Qixing and Liangqiu Xuani rushed over. The soul-stabilizing tree swayed and dispersed the soul worms on their bodies. I'm fine. Jiang Chongkong opened his eyes, and the sacrificial altar had already disappeared. There's nothing here? Did you find the inheritance of the near God realm? The two looked around and there was nothing. It was empty. I found it. I'm going to enter seclusion here. Jiang Chongkong took out the soul medicine. You guys recover. Don't disturb me. All right, but leave the soul stabilizing tree behind to prevent those worms from coming in. Feng Qixing's face turned pale, and he quickly consumed the soul medicine. Liang Qiushuani's expression was calm, and she was not injured. Jiang Chongkong entered the interior and started to study the soul inheritance and the Overlord Blade inheritance. The middle-aged man was very generous, and he gave him almost everything he knew about the Soul Dao and the Overlord Blade Dao. The Soul Astral Body's star formation was no less than the one he obtained in the Immortal Palace. The Overlord Blade was the same. This time, he should be able to take a shortcut and comprehend the great Tao of these two martial arts. All that was left was the White Cloud, the Sacred Sun, and the Taiji Yin-Yang art. Unfortunately, he did not get the golden object, and he did not know its origin. It seemed that he had to step into the Star Tao as soon as possible. The condensation of the soul astral body was quickly completed with the support of the star characters left by the middle-aged man. The functions of the star runes left behind by these two people who were close to God were the same. These near gods were really lucky. They had been dead for so long, but they still had a way to survive. But now it seemed that they were all crippled. Chapter 364. The Battle Palace's near-god corpse was in a half-dead state. The Flower Sea Queen, Hua Tianrui, had been divided into several parts and was struggling at death's door. Soul Martial Dao's near-god corpse relied on immortal treasures to preserve a remnant soul. The three near-god corpses that Jiang Chongkong met were all pitiful. At the very least, if he really wanted to challenge them, he would dare to fight them both, except for the corpse of a near-god. Now, it seemed that body refining was more powerful. As the soul astral body condensed, Jiang Chongkong saw another big star. Soul astral body. Peering into the Soul Dao was very rich. The Tyrant Saber was much more difficult and needed more time. Because of his experience, he didn't need to cultivate for 4 months this time. In just 2 months, Jiang Chongkong had comprehended 2 great Daos. Jiang Chongkong wasn't in a hurry to come out. He organized the secret techniques and martial arts in his mind. Tyrant Saber Technique, Soul Secret Technique. Soul Searching Technique. It could only be used on people weaker than him or the other party didn't resist and let him search their soul. If the other party was stronger or about the same level as him, he could only severely injure them and barely search their soul once. However, the risk was great. The soul of the target might shatter and die immediately. Soul Killing Array, Near God Level. Star Dao, Star Sacred Level Killing Array, everything. The Tyrant Saber had all kinds of near-god moves. Now, he finally had someone who could complete the inheritance. It could also be said that there were endless martial arts secret techniques. Jiang Chongkong restrained his cultivation and looked at his essence, qi, and spirit. There were still no fluctuations. He didn't forget that his foundation was to level up. Only by leveling up could he make everything the most suitable for him. You're finally out. The two heaved a sigh of relief when they saw him come out. Let's go. Jiang Chongkong stood up and planned to leave. You've been in seclusion for 2 months, but the Worm King hasn't appeared. Don't you think it's strange? Feng Qixing followed beside him. How do we go out? Just walk out like this. With me here, it'll be fine. Jiang Chongkong waved his hand. His soul power fluctuated, and the soul worms outside retreated. It seems that you have comprehended the soul inheritance. Have you comprehended the soul great Tao? The two asked curiously. I comprehended a bit. A faint Tao rune appeared on Jiang Chongkong's body. It was slightly weaker than the Force inscription and the Moon Tao runes. There was no helping it. When he leveled up his abilities, his Tao aura would increase as well. Truly abnormal. Feng Qixing couldn't help but say. Liang Qiuhuani's eyes flickered. No one knew what she was thinking. The two of them retraced their steps and soon saw a few star demon corpses. Jiang Chongkong put away the spatial equipment, which contained quite a number of level 8 and level 9 star crystals. Although he couldn't use it now, he would be able to make a huge leap when he went back and dealt with it. He didn't let go of the star demon's corpse either. These were all good stuff, and he could bring them back to the territory. The three of them returned the way they came. When they arrived at the door, Jiang Chongkong frowned. "What's wrong?" The two were puzzled. "There's someone here." Jiang Chongkong waved his hand, causing them to merge with heaven and earth and leave. Rumble. As they left, the door shook again and slowly closed. The soul energy dissipated, and a huge crack appeared, extending all the way to the ground. In front of the door, a group of star demon and a few human warriors were guarding it. Attack! With a cold shout, all sorts of starlight and Tao aura erupted, covering a radius of hundreds of miles. Rumble! An invisible force fluctuated, and Jiang Chongkong's figure separated from the sky, bringing the two of them with him as he flew up. "Leave the treasures behind." A group of star demon and humans chased after them in the air. On the ground, a level 10 star array was activated. A terrifying power and dense Tao aura blocked Jiang Chongkong. The Tao imprint here is quite strong. Jiang Chongkong punched out, causing the star array to shake and the starlight to collapse. This Tao aura was even stronger than the level 10 Golden Crow. Below, the star demon and warriors chased after them. Starlight shone brightly and Tao aura circulated. "Feng Qi Xing, I remember you. If you dare to leave, I will kill my way to your home." A cold voice sounded. A middle-aged warrior exuded golden Tao aura as he flew up into the air. "So, it's a kid from the Wind Meridian. It's inexcusable not to share such a good thing," a star demon said sinisterly. "Wind Meridian?" Jiang Chongkong glanced at Feng Qi Xing, but he didn't leave. He stood in the air and waited for them to catch up. 7 star demon and 4 humans. They were all at the peak of the star realm and had comprehended a trace of the star Great Tao. "Feng Qi Xing, didn't you go out to capture Jiang Chongkong? Why are you here?" The middle-aged warrior said as he looked at Jiang Chongkong with a burning gaze. "Capture Jiang Chongkong? I received news that he was defeated by Jiang Chongkong," a star demon said ferociously. "He came back with his tail between his legs and doesn't dare to go home, right?" Feng Qi Xing remained silent. "I did capture Jiang Chongkong, but I was captured instead." The middle-aged warrior sneered. "I feel that the person beside him is a bit like Jiang Chongkong. It seems that I really attract attention." Jiang Chongkong's expression was calm. "So, what do you guys want?" "It's really Jiang Chongkong." The star demon and the warriors were all overjoyed. "It really didn't take any effort. I thought that the Wind Meridian would succeed, but now it's right in front of us. Feng Qi Xing, since you've brought such a big gift, your uncle will definitely leave your corpse intact." A trace of excitement flashed across the middle-aged warrior's face. The golden sword slashed down and turned into a sword light that was hundreds of meters long. The metal Great Tao was indestructible and incomparably sharp. It was more than a level higher than Feng Qi Xing's sword. Rumble! The star formation on the ground activated, and a rank 10 killing formation slashed down with the might of the Great Tao. "It seems that their relationship with you isn't that good," Jiang Chongkong said indifferently. Feng Qi Xing explained, "It's not that good. They want your life, and the Wind Meridian just wants to invite you over. In that case, I'll send them to their deaths." Jiang Chongkong raised his palm, and the 3 astral bodies opened. The Strength Great Tao and the Soul Great Tao complemented each other under the Taiji astral bodies. The vast Taiji diagram covered a radius of 50 kilometers. The Taiji diagram descended, and countless attacks were absorbed. The remaining power could not shake the Taiji diagram. The mountains melted silently. The star formations collapsed, and the great formations were obliterated. the bodies of the 7-star demon crumbled. The 5 warriors could not block the Tao might. As their bodies exploded, their souls were also attacked, and cracks appeared on them. Feng Qixing and Liang Qiuxuani could only remain silent when facing this scene. They had both comprehended the Star Great Tao and were at the peak of the Star Realm. They also had a rank 10 killing formation, but they could not block Jiang Changkong's palm strike. His soul power swept out and caught all 12 souls in his hand. Soul Search. Jiang Changkong directly used the Soul Search technique. Bang! One soul directly exploded. Jiang Changkong continued with the next one. This was his first time using it, so he was not very familiar with it. He just needed to use it a few more times. The soul-stabilizing tree flew out and absorbed the exploded soul. Soul Search technique? A warrior cried out in horror. Good eyes. Don't be anxious. It will be your turn soon. Jiang Changkong said coldly as he pressed his palm down again. Feng Qixing's expression changed. He wanted to stop it, but Jiang Changkong knocked him away. He could only watch as Jiang Changkong searched his soul. He wanted to hide the secret here, but it was impossible under the soul search technique. Chapter 365. Soul Searching Secret Technique. After blowing up 3 souls in a row, Jiang Changkong finally found some information. The remnant stars. When the Void Realm fell, these creatures also came here. They had been developing in the Void Realm, exploring the ruins and searching for the cause of the interstellar war. Some of them were even the descendants of Near God. It was a pity that the war was too terrifying and affected too many areas. Near Gods died and disappeared. The inheritance of Near Gods was also severed. They could only search the ruins to complete their martial arts. Some were completed, and some Near Gods appeared and went to the starry sky. There were also some forces that did not complete their martial arts. The strongest was only Star Sage or even Star Path. These remnant stars were not clans, but cultivators of the same attribute. The wind attribute was the wind vein. The metal attribute was the gold vein. Warriors of the same attribute formed a force. In the face of some unsolvable difficulties, these forces would unite. For example, blocking the Federation's perception. The technology of the remnant stars was not weaker than the Federation, and even surpassed the Federation. However, the limitations of materials and number of people made it impossible for them to create some weapons of mass destruction. These forces would also go on expeditions to the starry sky. They had their own routes, and in the Void Realm, there were Star Path warriors guarding. After sorting out and digesting the information, Jiang Changkong knew the location of these remnant stars and began to search their spatial equipment. These people's spatial equipment was not bad, and it was difficult for him to destroy it with his strength. There were a lot of star crystals inside. After keeping everything, Jiang Changkong looked at Feng Qixing and Liang Qiuxuani. I think you should be more sensible now. He now had the soul-searching secret technique. He did not attack the 2 before because he was not familiar with it and did not want to kill them. With these 12 guys as practice, Jiang Changkong could guarantee that he would not kill them. In that case, no matter how many secrets they had, they would not be able to hide unless they had something to protect their souls. For example, the Soul Pearl. However, this thing was not common. Otherwise, Jiang Changkong would not be able to search their souls. Let's talk on the way. Feng Qixing sighed and took the lead. When he says it, I will tell you, Liang Qiuxuani said calmly. Jiang Changkong smiled and left with the 2. After fusing with heaven and earth, Jiang Changkong stopped in a dense forest half an hour later. Slashing a tree, Jiang Changkong looked at Feng Qixing. You should speak first to set an example for the lady. Feng Qixing smiled bitterly and sat down on the tree. You should know from soul searching, we are indeed survivors of the universe. You should know that I want more than that. Why do you want to capture me? Jiang Changkong didn't manage to find anything from his soul search. In the memories of those people, they only knew that they wanted to capture him. What else could it be? It's all for the sake of the omnipotent combat physique, said Feng Qi. Xing Jiang Chongkong didn't believe it. Is it that simple? Could it be that you want to possess me? Other forces might have this idea, but our wind bloodline doesn't. Feng Qi Xing muttered. Before I left, my family warned me not to form a life and death grudge with you and to bring you back alive. Jiang Chongkong frowned. What are you going to do with me? Could it be that you want to serve me? I don't know. They didn't tell me and I didn't ask. Feng Qixing shook his head. Jiang Chongkong thought for a moment and looked at Liang Qiushhuani. Miss Xuani, what about you? Liang Qiushhuani sighed. I don't know who's behind this. Maybe it's really someone from the Immortal Palace. What do you mean? Jiang Chongkong was puzzled. If it was someone from the Immortal Palace, it wouldn't make sense for Liang Qiushhuani to keep giving benefits to an enemy. Because of her, many people from the Immortal Palace had died and the Battle Palace had missed this opportunity. When I was very young, I met my master, Lin Suyun. She's from the Immortal Palace. Liang Qiushhuani told him everything. Liang Qiushhuani met Lin Suyun and became her disciple. Lin Suyun nurtured her with all her might and gave her resources that weren't inferior to geniuses. Lin Suyun kept telling her how vicious the Immortal Palace was to her and how they tortured her. At that time, Liang Qiushhuani swore to help her master resist the Immortal Palace and free herself from the nightmare. I've grown up and I understand more and more. My master's position in the Immortal Palace is definitely not low. Liang Qiushhuani said calmly, the Immortal Palace's torture won't land on her. However, she's my master, and I have to repay her kindness. Furthermore, she has many disciples. I'm not the only one. Many disciples? That's right. I'm just one of the people you've come in contact with. There are also some geniuses from the various major factions. Liang Qiushhuani continued, my master is indeed from the Immortal Palace. She told me that beautiful women are just playthings in the Immortal Palace. If I don't want to be a plaything that others can bully, I can only resist the Immortal Palace. After all, with my master around, I can obtain things from the Immortal Palace. Rank 9 battle armor and top-grade healing medicine. Your master is truly capable, Feng Qixing sneered. To be able to obtain those things, her status is definitely not low. That's right, Liang Qiushhuani said calmly. Feng Qixing frowned and shouted, Woman, you clearly know that you've been deceived, yet you're still so calm. A cold glint appeared on Liang Qiushhuani's calm face. She's my master. Furthermore, the Immortal Palace has a grudge against me to begin with. What grudge do you have against the Immortal Palace? Could it be that it was arranged by your master? Jiang Chongkong asked. Liang Qiushhuani was startled. After a long time, she said, my grandfather won't be able to return. Jiang Chongkong raised his head to look at the sky. Beyond the sky was a boundless starry sky. Liang Qiushhuani's grandfather had participated in a starry sky expedition and had not returned for over a decade. He couldn't come back. Did he fall in the starry sky? I once used my master's connections to investigate the expedition team back then. What I found was a list of the dead. The cause of my grandfather's death was the Immortal Palace. Liang Qiushhuani's expression turned fierce. No matter what, I want the Immortal Palace destroyed, no matter the price. What exactly is your master trying to do? Is she secretly nurturing you people to overthrow the Immortal Palace? Feng Qixing pondered and said, let's not talk about whether she can succeed or not. Even if she succeeds, what will your master obtain? Could it be that she is also seeking revenge? That's simple. Tell me where your master is. I'll search her soul, Jiang Chongkong said indifferently. As long as he could find her, he could search her soul. What if my master really has a grudge against me? My grandfather's death was definitely not caused by my master. Liang Qiushhuani said angrily, although my master is strong, she has only recently broken through to the star path. In the past, she was only a star body martial artist. How could she contact the people from the expedition team? Feng Qixing muttered. Even a martial artist who has just broken through to the star path still obtains so many top-grade medicines. Don't talk nonsense. What do I, Liang Qiuxuani, have to deserve such a scheme from my master? Liang Qiuxuani said coldly, my talent is not as good as yours. My strength is only at the early stage star embryo realm, and my appearance is only passable. You're really humble. I'm only a few years older than you. I have more cultivation resources, and the experts I teach are better. Feng Qixing stood up and said indifferently, in terms of true talent, you're definitely not inferior to me. Alright, don't be humble. Let's go to the Immortal Palace's stronghold first and get what I want. Jiang Chongkong interrupted them and floated in the air. As for you people from the starry sky and the people from the Immortal Palace, I'll deal with you one by one when I reach the peak. Feng Qixing. Liang Qiuxuani. We really don't want to bring you there anymore. If we let you break through, will the forces behind us still be alive? However, this guy knew how to search souls. They had no choice but to bring him there. Chapter 366. 7 days later, in a dense forest. Many houses were hidden under the cover of the ancient trees. There were surveillance cameras everywhere, and the ground was engraved with star arrays. Starlight flowed, and the star arrays operated slowly. Deep in the forest, a green barrier shone, protecting the houses. Jiang Chongkong and the other two stood in the sky and looked down at the houses below. This is the Celestial Palace's base? Yes, all the information you want is inside, Liang Qiuxuani said calmly. But the defense here is extremely strong. Even the Star Path sect might not be able to escape unscathed. Miss Xuani, you should have prepared for this, right? Jiang Chongkong said indifferently. Liang Qiuxuani took out a green token. This is the token of this base. Once it's activated, the methods here will be useless against you. This base? Are there many Celestial Palaces bases here? Jiang Chongkong asked. Feng Qixing said, they're everywhere. You might not be able to kill them all. Liang Qiuxuani nodded. I only have the token of this base. I don't have anything else. Then I'll go in. You guys wait outside. Jiang Chongkong took the token and prepared to go down. Okay, we'll wait for you here. Liang Qiuxuani nodded. Jiang Chongkong wasn't in a hurry to leave. He looked at Feng Qixing and asked, are you going to contact the wind vane? Feng Qixing's face twitched. Chongkong, you must be joking. Why would I do that? I'll keep an eye on him, Liang Qiuxuani said. Jiang Chongkong didn't say anything else. He took the token and flew down. Inside the barrier, many figures were busy working. In front of each wooden house, there were martial artists guarding. Their strength was not low, and they were basically all high-level martial artists. Jiang Chongkong didn't hide when he arrived, so he quickly attracted their attention. The green barrier trembled. The surrounding trees glowed green and huge branches whipped at him. He infused astral power into the token in his hand, and it glowed green. The branches that were whipping at him stopped abruptly and quickly retracted. The barrier below opened automatically, revealing a passage that was as wide as a person's width. Seeing this, he confirmed that the token was really useful. After the martial artists inside saw the token, they returned to their original positions and continued to stand guard. A white-haired old man looked up at him, his face brimming with a smile. Welcome, my lord. Yes. Jiang Chongkong's feet stepped on the ground and he responded with an indifferent tone. Sir, may I know which palace of immortal palaces you are from? Which lord are you? Why do you sound so unfamiliar? The elder asked carefully. It's the research palace. Jiang Chongkong's eyes flashed, and he pressed his palm on the old man's head. Soul-searching secret art. As for the immortal palace, he only knew a few palaces. As for the specific identity, he was too lazy to make it up. He might as well take action directly. Enemy! With a shout, the martial artists guarding the area all pounced on Jiang Chongkong with dazzling star power. Rumble! The earth trembled as the star array was activated. Dense Taoist rhymes rose. The token in Jiang Chongkong's hand gave off a green light and also contained a trace of Tao runes. The formation's starlight automatically avoided Jiang Chongkong, and it was of no use. As the martial artists in the surroundings pounced on him, Jiang Chongkong flicked his finger, and his soul power swept out. The martial artists that were rushing over all froze, and their gazes turned dull. Streams of soul power flew out from the bodies of these martial artists. Countless roots extended from the soul-stabilizing tree and devoured their souls. Letting go of the elder, Jiang Chongkong's gaze turned cold. Just like the star demon in his territory, these people were all researching celestial bodies. However, these people's research was more profound than the star demons, and the scope of their research was wider. They would also study some cosmic species and the remains of some experts. These people had done many things like digging graves. With a point of his finger, the old man's body exploded into a blood mist, and his soul was absorbed by the soul-stabilizing tree. Which evil creature dares to court death? An angry roar rang out, and a group of people rushed out of the house. The few people in the lead were peak star realm cultivators who had comprehended a trace of the great Tao. Screech! A golden crow let out a long cry. A golden crow burned with raging flames, burning the sky and boiling the sea. 10th grade treasure. Jiang Chongkong's expression was calm. The few peak star realm cultivators here were all sun star power cultivators. The 3 great celestial bodies were activated, and killing formations crisscrossed. Thousands of flowers bloomed. The expressions of the few martial artists changed, and they fell into an illusion. The 10th grade golden crow spewed sunfire, burning their martial artists. Jiang Chongkong's soul power swept out, enveloping these houses. Some of the people who were still researching in the houses walked out one by one. The golden crow's fire turned the martial artists into ashes. The soul-stabilizing tree's roots spread out, frenziedly devouring souls. 15 minutes later, other than Jiang Chongkong, there were no other living beings in the ethereal immortal palace's stronghold. The soul-stabilizing tree also grew a little taller. The 2 of you come down. Jiang Chongkong looked at the sky, and his token flickered with light. The formation automatically stopped, and the barrier dissipated. After searching the soul, he had already grasped the method to control this place. The 2 of them flew down, and Liang Qiushhuani said calmly, "He didn't send out any news." Feng Qixing was helpless. Liang Qiushhuani kept a close eye on him, and he didn't dare to use any methods. Once he used any methods, unless he killed Liang Qiushhuani, Jiang Chongkong would also search his soul if he didn't send out any news. He didn't want his soul to be searched. The Wind bloodline had some secrets that he didn't want others to know. There are the things I want here, and there are also instruments. Let's deal with the star crystals. Jiang Chongkong said indifferently. There were instruments to deal with star crystals here. There were many resources in this ethereal immortal palace's stronghold. Even if he didn't use them, he could bring them back. Your soul-searching art is really useful, Feng Qixing said enviously. With this soul-searching art, what secrets were there that he couldn't know? Jiang Chongkong brought them into a house, and there were all sorts of instruments and corpses of all kinds of living beings. Damn it! Feng Qixing's expression changed drastically when he saw a corpse, and he rushed over. This is someone from your Wind bloodline? Jiang Chongkong looked at the corpse. It was a youth. He is my little brother. Feng Qixing carefully picked up the corpse with a sorrowful expression. This damned ethereal immortal palace should have been destroyed long ago. I haven't seen you move for so many years, Liang Qiushhuani said calmly. In the past, there was no enmity between us, so you could sit back and do nothing. Now you only have regret. All right, let's bury these corpses, Jiang Chongkong said with a sigh. Burn them. Scatter the ashes. Liang Qiushhuani was silent for a moment and then said, "They are all cultivators. Don't let them be dug out for star crystals in the future." Jiang Chongkong. I'm very embarrassed by what you said. Feng Qixing nodded and brought the corpses out to burn them. However, he didn't burn his little brother's corpse. Instead, he kept it. He wanted to bring it back to the Wind bloodline. Jiang Chongkong dealt with the corpses, and he tapped on the instruments to find the information he needed. Sun Astral Array, White Cloud Astral Array. There was also their research on the 3 elemental constitutions and the ultimate combat body. Liang Qiushhuani was dealing with the star crystals. Jiang Chongkong had given him quite a lot. Help me deal with them too. I'm going into closed-door cultivation, Jiang Chongkong said. Liang Qiushhuani nodded. Don't go into closed-door cultivation here. The ethereal immortal palace's people might come at any time. I understand. Deal with the star crystals, take these instruments away, and find a place with no one around to enter closed-door cultivation. If the ethereal immortal palace discovered that he had come and destroyed this place, it was very likely that they would send a star path cultivator over. Jiang Chongkong wasn't ready to become enemies with a star path cultivator yet. Chapter 367. He transferred all the information into his phone and saved another copy of the information he wanted. Liang Qiushhuani was processing the star crystals while Feng Qixing was grieving at the side. The star crystals were quickly processed by the machine. Liang Qiushhuani went to the other houses to look for other things. There were many good things in the stronghold of the Immortal Palace. Some 10th-grade medicines and 10th-grade ingredients were all precious items. Unfortunately, there was not a single level 10 star crystal. After Jiang Chongkong recorded the information, he searched with Liang Qiushhuani. It's a pity that there aren't any 10th level extreme yang blades here, nor are there any extreme yin blades. Jiang Chongkong was somewhat disappointed. At his level, he desperately needed a weapon that could bear the weight of the Great Tao. You can dismantle the Golden Crow. Perhaps you might be able to forge one, Liang Qiushhuani said. Jiang Chongkong shook his head. The Golden Crow was a good treasure and he planned to keep it. Now that he knew about the Immortal Palace's stronghold and a group of wealthy Star Remnant citizens, he saw hope for the Star Path. However, the number of star crystals he had collected was already very large. This time, the Divine Palace's stronghold had also gained a lot of star crystals, but he didn't know the exact amount. But the initial estimate was still a few million yuan. Once he found a few more bases, it wouldn't be a problem for him to reach the peak of the star realm. Without further chatting, Jiang Chongkong focused his attention on the soul inheritance. There was a secret soul technique here, soul incarnation, using various materials or the corpses of cultivators to possess and create a clone. The strength of the doppelganger would not automatically increase. It would have to replenish its strength on its own, just like a puppet. Many soul martial artists liked this kind of secret art. They could create another version of themselves to resist death tribulations. Right now there were quite a few Tier 9 materials, but Jiang Chongkong did not intend to use these materials. There were also many warriors in the Immortal Palace. There were also some with the power of the Moon Star, although 80% of them were female. However, it was only a temporary clone, and it was wearing a black robe, so no one paid it any mind. Even if they knew, a woman could dispel their suspicions about him. Other than soul incarnation, there were all kinds of secret soul techniques, such as soul killing sound, soul invasion, soul escape, and so on. Jiang Chongkong's energy was limited, so he only learned what he was interested in and useful. There were too many near-God inheritances, and some of them weren't that powerful. Learning them would be a complete waste of time. A few days later, all the star crystals were dealt with, and the 3 of them left. They had also brought along the equipment for processing star crystals. Could be used as long as there was star power. Zhang Xian returned the token to Liang Qiuxuani after they were far away from the base of the Palace of Immortals. Don't be sad. Kill a few more Immortal Palace warriors to avenge him. Jiang Chongkong didn't know how to comfort Feng Qixing. Even now, he still hadn't walked out of his sorrow. I know, thank you. Feng Qixing sighed. His mood was still low. With a calm expression, Liang Qiuxuani said, Chongkong, don't bother with him. Go and enter closed-door training if you need to. Jiang Chongkong was stunned for a moment. You're too heartless. Even Feng Qixing looked at her with some dissatisfaction. Who hasn't lost a loved one before? Liang Qiuxuani said calmly, if grieving was of any use, I wouldn't have walked out of it even now. All right, pretend I didn't say anything. Jiang Chongkong walked to the side, organized his star crystals, and began his seclusion. Star crystals of low-grade 8th tier, 1,380,000. Mid-grade star crystals, 1,160,000. High-grade star crystals, 1 million. Top, 800,000. Lower tier 9 star crystals, 600,000. Mid-grade star crystals, 420,000. High-grade star crystals, 210,000. Top, 90,000. Essence, spirit, and spirit, 342 million. This was Jiang Chongkong's harvest during this period of time. Among them, the Immortal Palace's stronghold accounted for the most, occupying more than half. Then there were the 5 Fellows of Wind Rising Star and the 7-Star Demon. Those people had stayed in the depths of the Void Realm for too long. It would be enough for him to step into the peak of the Star Realm, and he would still have 100 million left. He wasn't in a hurry to improve it. First, he carved the star formation. The sun and the white clouds needed to be improved. If he could comprehend the great Tao of stars, then when he leveled up, his great Tao imprint would also improve. Jiang Chongkong merged with the world, while Liang Qiuxuani and Feng Qixing sat to the side. Through Liang Qiuxuani's words earlier, Feng Qixing was no longer as sad as before. Merely, he did not say anything. The two of them sat there quietly until night fell. Liang Qiuxuani looked up at the starry sky. In the blink of an eye, several days had passed. That night, Feng Qixing finally spoke. Your grandfather is no longer around. Why are you still looking at the starry sky? Because I've never walked out of it. I was lying to you that day. Liang Qiuxuani said calmly, even now, I still remember grandfather's teachings. I have to handle things calmly so that others cannot see through my feelings. Feng Qixing sighed softly. Since ancient times, immortals and gods have coexisted in the world. If there is an immortal in the family, they can ask the immortal to take action and resurrect the dead. There are no immortals anymore. My grandfather has also passed away many years ago, Liang Qiuxuani said calmly. There are no immortals anymore, but there are definitely some treasures that can resurrect the dead. Feng Qixing said with certainty. So what? The Battle Palace is an immortal palace. Isn't it still broken? Even if there are treasures like that, they would have already been broken. Liang Qiuxuani shook her head. Immortal treasures contain unimaginable power. The most basic thing is that they can automatically restore themselves. Feng Qixing's expression was solemn. The Battle Palace is destroyed, but if we find the 9-story palace, it can automatically restore itself. After saying so much, you want me to find treasures that can resurrect the dead? Liang Qiuxuani looked at him with a trace of amusement on her calm face. It's dark now. You can go to sleep. You can dream about anything. All right, let's not talk about this anymore. Feng Qixing lowered his voice. Are you planning to follow Jiang Chongkong forever? That's right, until my master gives me a new mission. Wait, haven't you thought about escaping? What's the difference between the two of us and prisoners? Feng Qixing said helplessly. His voice grew louder. Liang Qiuxuani said calmly, I don't think of myself as a prisoner. Furthermore, aren't you afraid that he will hear you? He should be in closed-door training right now. He won't be able to wake up for some time. Now is the best time for us to leave. Feng Qixing did not want to be with Jiang Chongkong anymore. He did not feel safe at all. He was like a prisoner. If you want to leave, I can't stop you, Liang Qiuxuani said. What I want is the destruction of the ethereal immortal palace. I'll take him to the stronghold here. Haha, aren't you worried that Jiang Chongkong will get rid of you after you've outgrown your usefulness? Will he still keep you when you no longer have any value? Feng Qixing sneered. Although I don't know him very well, as someone who could reach the heavenly body tier step by step, which one of them isn't ruthless? Liang Qiuxuani glanced at him calmly. Then just die. Perhaps there really is a hell that hasn't been destroyed yet. I'll be able to see my grandfather. Feng Qixing. Alright, she's a crazy woman. It doesn't make sense at all. I advise you not to leave, Liang Qiuxuani said slowly. If you leave, your people won't be able to kill Jiang Chongkong. Your Wind bloodline will be in big trouble. If I don't cause trouble for him, we'll never meet again. Did you forget that he searched your neighbor's soul? Chapter 368. Feng Qixing was a little depressed. Jiang Chongkong had searched the soul of a gold vein martial artist. Does he know where the gold vein is? He definitely knew. In fact, Jiang Chongkong probably knew about the Wind Vein's territory, but he didn't say anything. If Feng Qixing ran away, even if he didn't find trouble with Jiang Chongkong could still find him himself. He didn't think that Jiang Chongkong would go there soon. He would definitely wait until he was strong enough. Or, he could go to the Federation and shout for them to discover the remnants of the universe or something. The Federation would definitely send a bunch of people to capture them and bring them back for research. As for moving with the Wind Vein, if that group of people knew that Jiang Chongkong was here, they would definitely rush out to capture him. What about inviting a Star Path martial artist? Feng Qixing pondered. How about you don't say it, I will invite a Star Path martial artist over. Either you kill me or you don't have to. A trace of coldness appeared in Liang Qiuxuani's eyes. I want him to help me destroy the ethereal immortal palace's stronghold. If I force it, Feng Qixing's expression was slightly angry. His body shone with a green light, but as soon as it lit up, it dimmed. Blood seeped out of his 7 apertures, and his expression was hideous and terrifying. Jiang Chongkong. Feng Qixing's expression was solemn. Unknowingly, there was a hidden force in his soul. Jiang Chongkong's soul strength. Liang Qiuxuani said calmly, Do you think that he's stupid and thinks that I can keep an eye on you? Feng Qixing fell silent. He had no choice but to accept the fact that he couldn't resist. Think about it in another way. Jiang Chongkong destroyed the stronghold of the Divine Palace to avenge your little brother, didn't he? Liang Qiuxuani said indifferently, As for your Wind Vein, I refuse to believe that no one has died at the hands of the ethereal immortal palace in the past. Yes. Feng Qixing nodded sadly. That's it. If you return to the Wind bloodline, you won't be able to take revenge. You'll be a prisoner, and someone will take revenge for you. Liang Qiuxuani said indifferently, Why didn't you choose to be a prisoner? Feng Qixing opened his mouth, momentarily speechless. He suddenly began to understand Liang Qiuxuani. He was powerless against hatred. In that case, he could only rely on other forces to take revenge. Liang Qiuxuani also took out her star crystal and began cultivating. The two of them stopped talking. In the sky, Jiang Chongkong was still in seclusion, as if he knew nothing. Time flew by, and after 2 months, a huge sun appeared in the sky. It was a real sun. The sun true fire, which could burn the sky and boil the sea, melted everything it passed. The two's expressions changed. Fortunately, the energy instantly changed and became warm. The warm light made their bodies feel lighter. The dense vitality caused the withered weeds in the distance to grow again. A trace of Tao runes circulated within the sun. In the blink of an eye, the great sun transformed into a white cloud that drifted about in the sky. It drifted about indeterminately and emitted a special aura of the Tao. He has indeed improved again. Feng Qi-shing looked at the white clouds in the sky and felt a sense of powerlessness. In the face of such a monster, who would dare to call themselves a genius? The white clouds dissipated, but Jiang Chongkong did not appear. Instead, he merged with heaven and earth. He wanted to upgrade his martial arts and reach the peak of the star realm. Far away from them, the 8 martial arts were upgraded at the same time. The 7 great stars manifested at the same time, and the number of formation patterns increased. The Tao mark was also strengthened and the Tao runes were dense. The astral power in his body transformed, becoming more and more condensed and vast. At the same time, Jiang Chongkong was also rapidly condensing a new star formation and strengthening his Tao mark. In the distance, the two were a little confused. He hasn't come out of seclusion yet? More than 2 months have passed. How long does this guy plan to cultivate until? Liang Qiushhuani frowned. That's normal. Sometimes I go into seclusion and don't come out for 10 years. Feng Qi-shing said calmly, you have to get used to stepping into the high level. Liang Qiushhuani did not say anything else. High-level martial artists had a long lifespan, and they could be said to be old and undying. Top-level martial artists were known to step into the demigod realm, and their lifespans were unknown. The two continued to wait patiently. In the end, they got really bored and ran far away to find the Immortal Palace's stronghold. Time passed, and no one knew how much time had passed. In the sky, the Tao runes were dense, and the 7 great stars hung in the void. Jiang Chongkong slowly landed, and the 7 stars were retracted into his body. The number of force patterns in his body had also increased to 9. Jiang Chongkong, Star Realm Peak High-Level Martial Arts, 3-foot golden body, perfected 1/171. 5 million Taiji Yin Yang Art, perfected 1/171. 5 million Overlord Saber, perfected 1/171. 5 million Holy Sun Art, perfected 1/171. 5 million God Governing Art, perfected 1/171. 5 million Bright Moon Art, perfected 1/171. 5 million White Cloud 9-Tier Sutra, perfected 1/171. 5 million High-Level Middle Grade Array Tao, Battle Body Star Formation, incomplete perfected 1/171. 5 million Essence, Qi, and Spirit, 11262885. 4-inch Another 3 months have passed. Time flies too fast. Jiang Chongkong muttered, can I become a god in 10 years? Why am I a little worried? He had previously said that the Immortal Palace would not exist in 10 years. Now, it seemed that he was exaggerating. It would also take some time for him to step into the star Tao and head to the starry sky. Compared to those who went into seclusion for 10 years or decades, his progress was considered fast. However, Jiang Chongkong still felt that it was too slow. If only the martial arts that he cultivated all had the speed of a god. Sigh, forget it. A month of harvest, half a year of seclusion, this is my current state. Jiang Chongkong shook his head and sensed where the two people were with his soul power. He did not know if he could fight against the star Tao with his current strength. Compared to before, there was no need to compare. After reaching the peak of the star Tao, it would not be a problem for him to instantly kill the previous him. He entered the world and appeared 1,000 miles away in the blink of an eye. Liang Qiushhuani and Feng Qi-shing were roasting a star demon under a tree. It seems that you are living a leisurely life. Jiang Chongkong's figure appeared. Feng Qi-shing said helplessly, Chongkong, if you still don't come out, we will be bored to death. It is indeed a little long. I also do not want to. But don't worry, before I have the confidence to break through to the star Tao, I will not go into seclusion for so long. Jiang Chongkong said. The two people's faces twitched. You are saying that you are about to break through to the Star Tao? Let's go and wipe out the Immortal Palace's stronghold, Jiang Changkong said. Feng Qixing led the way, and Jiang Changkong led them forward. In an instant they covered 1,000 miles. His speed was so fast that even Feng Qixing was shocked. Your speed is almost comparable to the star path. Just walk around, it is faster to go at full speed, Jiang Changkong said indifferently. You really do not know how to be humble. Feng Qixing gritted his teeth. You can catch up to the Star Tao by going all out? How much further? Jiang Changkong asked. Feng Qixing calculated and said, more or less, you are 5 steps away. Jiang Changkong nodded. After 5 steps, they appeared above a valley. There were buildings below. It was the same as the previous stronghold's layout. This time, it was a golden barrier. Jiang Changkong praised. Your distance estimation is very accurate. There is no token this time. Be careful. Liang Qiushuani said. It is no longer a threat. Jiang Changkong waved his hand, and a sunset glow shrouded the place. The star formation silently dissipated, and the valley disappeared along with it. Only the buildings were left. The Immortal Palace martial artists were horrified and did not know what to do. Star Tao, you have definitely reached the Star Tao. Feng Qixing's eyes shone with green light as he said in shock. Silently wiping out a rank 10 killing formation. This was not something a peak Star Tao could do. Even if this rank 10 killing formation was temporarily not activated and its power was insufficient,